Welcome everybody to VIS here for the spring season of VIS64, the official home of the North America Challenger Series. We are excited to be getting on our second day here with the start of Group B, our second set of 32 teams here as we get rolling on. It's going to be a lot of matches taking place over the couple of hours here, as it's going to be very exciting and a lot of teams going head-to-head, looking to try to make a name as they make these early rounds. We didn't see a lot of upsets, not too many upsets yesterday. We may see some upsets today. We're all going to find out here. Of course, joining me tonight are our amazing casters, Forecourt Jester and Dowsey. Dowsey, is this your first official cast of the official Vainglory circuit? I'm trying to think if you did VGL over the past week.
I actually did VGL today, so I got to experience some really great Challenger Series stuff. So this is the first official North American Vainglory cast for the Vainglory season.
Perfect. Well, it's great to have you here. Of course, we got Forecourt Jester, our phenomenal caster, our veteran, coming on the deck. Thanks, Forecourt, for joining us tonight.
Always a pleasure. Good to see you guys once more. Cannot wait to find out what's going to happen this season. New patch, new heroes, and just a new system since the last time we got into the big leagues. It's a very exciting time to be into Vainglory.
Absolutely. There's a lot happening in Vainglory. The competitive scene's really mixed up as we get into the first official Vainglory season on the new update 2.0. A lot of new heroes, a lot of new changes to the meta. We've seen a lot of exciting changes that have really mixed things up. But let's take a few moments to talk about our format here this season. So, just like last season, we are in split 1 and 2, which will take place. And between those splits are challenge battles where the top 3 teams that make it through these tournaments will have a chance to get relegated in to Vainglory 8. The top 8 teams that will be competing every single weekend here in this spring season. So this is really the top Vainglory 8. That's where you get a chance to make it to these live championship finals. They're now going to be cross-regional finals between EU and North America, and only the top 6 teams from each region will get qualified. So there's definitely a lot of contention to stay above the top, the bottom 3 in the VG8, or to make it into the top 3 here in Challengers. Of course, there's a lot of exciting, very strong Challenger teams coming up here through these tournaments this split. So you guys definitely need to pay attention to the polls, see how different teams are doing, who's kind of on the rise, because it's going to be definitely really exciting. We are sticking with the single ban system. You will be seeing double ban draft in the Vainglory 8 tournaments, but come challenge battles, we will be featuring the double ban draft as well. So it's starting to see this rollout of a new drafting system that adds another layer to the competitive side of things as far as strategy is concerned. Of course, this is a double elimination bracket, and each round is a best of 3 between these teams until we get to the grand finals, which is a best of 5. So there's a lot on the line. Of course, there is exciting payouts at the end of the season, but more importantly, a chance to claim your title into the top Vainglory 8. One of the big things, though, and Forecourt, you could probably touch on this a little bit as well, is the new strategy here where these top 3 teams, when they make it to challenge battles, actually get to pick the team they want to fight from those bottom 3 Vainglory 8s, and they actually get to keep the points if they beat those teams going into challenge battles. And that kind of makes a little bit of a strategy on how these teams will go into those challenge battles if they can make it to the top 3.
I had heard that they get to keep the points. I wasn't aware that they actually had free reign of whoever they want to go up against. That's certainly a new wrench in the works there.
Well, it's not complete free reign. What it is the top-seeded challenger team gets to pick from the 3 teams in the VGA, and then the second one gets to pick from the 2 remaining, and then the third one doesn't get to pick. They're stuck with the remaining third Vainglory.
Don't be third.
So, don't be third. I mean, it may not, or maybe you will be third. I mean, it is possible that a team will risk actually playing one of the harder teams to get more points to actually have a chance to make it to live championships. So there's a little bit of strategy and thinking that's going to go on in that case. So a lot of exciting changes across the board. Of course, you guys are here for this exciting season. So let's take a quick look at the bracket that we have here today. This, of course, is going to be Group B, and there's a lot of exciting teams. I think Dowsey and Forecourt, you guys are lucky. You get the bracket that is just packed today with exciting teams. We have Liberation X. We'll talk a little bit about them in a little bit as they will be streamed. We have Arden in this bracket. NRG's in this bracket. We've got Team Task back. Refate's a very strong, exciting team making their way through the competitive scene. We have Noble Pro and Nemesis Titan in this bracket. I mean, this bracket is just packed with big organizations or big teams and a lot of strong talent. It's really incredible. It kind of got lumped into one specific group.
Yeah, it kind of did here, Dowsy. And I know that you're kind of getting your feet wet here, but I'm just going to give you a quick lowdown. Liberation X looks like they're going to be up first. Status, Pawn the Original, Marto. Big names. We've seen them throughout quite a few of the seasons here in the past. Ardent coming in. These guys have fielded multiple teams in the past. Let's see how far that they can go. But Energy, you said it, Team TAS is here. Synergy coming back into that. I see Noble Pro somewhere down the line and Nemesis Titan on top of things. Like he's not joking, Dowsy. I mean, you're almost getting the royal treatment here.
Right, and oh, hello?
Yeah,
hey, what's up, bro?
You can hear me? Okay, cool. So my Discord was bugged and it wasn't appearing that I was talking. But this is the really exciting thing, and this is what you were harping on in excitement earlier, Dragonborn, is that these teams in the Challenger Series for NA are stacked, and they're possibly better than some of the teams in the actual Vainglory 8 that we have there. At least they'll put up a fight in the Challenge battles. So the new rule coming in that the Challenger Series teams can actually pick their opponent means that these guys may just, as you say, go for that strategy. You know what? I may have been seeded first, but I'm going to go for the hardest opponent, steal all their points away, get into Vainglory 8, and just make a name for myself.
Now, Dragon, before we get a little bit too much farther, yesterday with the Group A, there was definitely some powerhouse teams there as well, and it's got to be top 4 of both groups, right? So One Piece 101, those Straw Hats, they're still in the running. They got quite some powerful compositions ready to go there. Team Enforcers making their way through once more. Team Rage Pingers, hello. It's been a whole season, but welcome back. Necrolite, they're also still in the running here as well. So not only is Group 2 super stacked, Group 1 is nothing to sneeze at here either.
Right, if you've been following the competitive scene in NA for the last couple of seasons, there are players across all these teams that are just really, really good. A lot of this came as the result of a rule change this season where teams are only allowed to have one team representing those orgs. So these orgs actually having to scale down some of their players. There also was another change that limited teams to 5 players instead of 6. That's actually a significant change as well, because now teams with 6 players are just chopping off 1, and that adds up to several teams that are at that high echelon of competitive tier. So really exciting. Again, there's a lot of these teams. Some of these teams have VG Gold players in it, some of the top competitive players actually in Vainglory. So it's going to be really exciting. We, of course, are excited to be hosting that, and we don't want to wait any longer. Let's start talking about our first matchup tonight. It is Liberation X versus Khans. Now, Khans is a lower seeded team. We don't know a lot about them, and it's kind of a tough gig to come in here and go up against this royalty of a roster and also skilled roster in Liberation X. So this is definitely a tough order. We did, of course, do a poll for the first time ever. We actually asked the viewers on Twitter what matchup they wanted to see first, and we're going to do this at the start of every split, and the viewers voted unanimously for Liberation X.
And why wouldn't they? The Kings of Vainglory, the first championship winners for North America, now fighting their way through the Challenger Series to attempt to regain glory once more. Huge names on the roster, of course, and well-known names as well. It's going to be hard, really, for Khans to come into this matchup without shaking in their boots. It's Liberation X.
Absolutely. Well, with that, though, we're going to get right into this matchup, so I'm going to kick it over to you, Forecourt, to start breaking down how this draft's looking.
Well, that's definitely much appreciated here, Dragon, but I think I'm going to let Dowsy get the first in as I see who the bands are going to be.
Sure, why not? Lyra going to come out first from Liberation X, and it's going to be an alpha, actually, by Khans coming through. Now, I do believe Grumpjaw is banned globally. You may have to correct me. So this is a bit of a troll coming through from Liberation X, just flexing their Grumpjaw muscles before they are forced not to lock it in. We'll have to see what their first pick actually is.
Yeah, there's definitely no Grumpjaw yesterday. I can't imagine that they would be lifted here for today. So he will just last moment. There we go. Pick somebody else. And if you guys have been following this patch, especially last patch as well, not really a big difference when it comes to a lot of the favorites. Vox and Ringo have definitely been dominating out in the lane. Adagio's no joke. Doesn't look like a Vox out yet. Status with that first pick. He could go roam, he could go jungle, he could go carry, really. He could do anything he wants with that, Adagio.
It's super flex and it's super in right now. Over in EU, Lyra Adagio was pretty much 100% pickle ban, so completely expect to see Adagio locked in where possible. Over on the other side, though, it is a Ringo Lance coming through for Khans, and I'm still a huge fan of Ringo Lance. However, Ringo and Lance both did get hit a little bit in patch update 2.2.
Yeah, but they're still really going strong here. Ringo and that Lance just going to be looking for probably a jungler at this point. It's E36 or they're not actually using E36 this time. It's Marto. Like those guys, they really have a lockdown on the Lance. I really do think if it was going to be Liberation X with it, they'd probably put it into that jungle position. But I'm not feeling it here for the cons. Of course, they could throw us a loop, but it's going to be Flicker. He has been quite the popular pick.
That's very interesting. So it will be a jungle Lance by the looks of things here for Khans. Chuggy going to be playing that one. And yeah, Flicker, okay. Flicker, I have a love-hate relationship with Flicker, I have to say, for court. He either dominates games or he just falls behind miserably.
It's, well, A or B, man. It's, if you can get a great start in Snowball, you're going to have yourself a heck of a time. But volatile picks like this, it's high risk, high reward. If you can get yourself going, you're going to have a good time. If you get shut down, well, your work is going to be cut out for you for sure. And, well, I mean, I kind of expected that Lance to be that roam, but instead, as you said, he's going to be that jungler. But Glaive, Adagio, Vox, we got, like, just the power picks coming out here from Liberation X.
We really do, guys. It is game 1 of day 2 of VIS64. Let's get some hype in chat because it's Liberation X up against Khans here. We'll have to see where this first game of our series does head. It's actually aggressive moves coming out of Khans as they want to go straight on into the action. Great Impale coming through, but that will be it. Marto just going to say, you know what, guys, I may be a bit of a captain Adagio, but I can lay down the herd. And actually, it's Chuggy who's taking the through brunt of it. He goes down, first blood comes through, and Mongol, he's looking like he's gonna go as well. Just about dodges away from that Treant root, but the Treant's gonna get involved, and another kill comes forth for Marto. Oh, what a crazy start. Liberation X straight out of the gates.
Yeah, if you're gonna be this deep, you might as well take away that farm. Just take all the advantages that you can. Everybody here is together. You might lose out a little bit of that lane pressure, but it's not the biggest of deals. The first wave, it's not really going to be the game maker right there. You can see Ringo off to farm the backs. It's actually a pretty good choice of his because he knows that there's nobody really to contest him, but Status, we can see, he got there pretty quick.
You don't mess with Status and his Glaive, and you're trying to steal jungle creeps where you shouldn't be here. This is going to be a disastrous time for this Ringo. Status turns, he takes the tree, and his priorities is gold, and now he's going to take away Ringo's life as well. 3-0 straight off the bat. Couldn't ask for a better start, really, for Liberation X. 4-0!
Yeah.
He dies to the Treant. That's a massive error coming out of Khans and Chuggy.
Should have just left that Ringo to his own fate there, Chuggy, and just, yeah, okay. Now, the good news is Mongol picks up the mid, so he was able to capitalize on the work.
He lost it. He lost it to Status.
Okay. Well, that's just a rip right then. Chelsea.
Marto came in with an auto attack and just stole it away. Finally, jungle camp secured by Khans. It is this Ringo taking away that Treant, but Liberation X, they don't care about your Treant. It's 2 minutes in and 5 kills on the board over a 1,500 gold lead. Crazy stuff. And
how much? I'm sorry, I'm looking at nearly 3,000 here, my friend.
Yeah, maths is hard at 1 AM. I'm not gonna lie, but you got a good call.
Gold. They have more gold per thousands in the minute than the game has actually been going on. I mean, this is, as you said, like a phenomenal start. I don't think you can actually get any better than this for Liberation X.
No, not at all. Unless they just walk back into lane and start finding some more kills. This is scary stuff. Khans obviously coming in as underdogs. You know, a lower seeded team. Compared to Liberation X here. So you expect this first game possibly to go a little bit one-sided, but maybe not so much. And so for Khans to get back into this, they need to reset their mentality, look to try and find some picks with this Flicker, or else they're just going to fall further and further behind.
Yeah, the picks are going to be hard to kind of get at this point. When you're 3,000 or so gold back, look at the difference in items. Status has already gotten into the banner, and at the same time, Pawn has picked up, you know, a good whopping of weapon to go with it. I mean, in comparison, the difference in the items is just absolutely astounding. So getting a pick up against Liberation X is going to be absolutely like the hardest thing to do at this point in the game.
Absolutely. It's almost impossible, I would say. The net experience lead that Liberation X has over their opponents is there. Many members of Khan still level 3, whilst everyone on Liberation X is at level 4, Status on level 5. And now, with Status coming in, watch for the hurt. That's just gonna be annihilation as Wongo gonna fall. Tomato, the carry captain here, 4-0-2, just having a blast in this game. You know, Pon the original, you're not going to get any kills this game, buddy. It's going to be all Status and Mato.
Yeah, 0-0-3 of 6. He's just been snoozing here, Pon. I'm sorry, bro. But his last hits have been pretty phenomenal. You can see him just holding them over Monk. And again, just bringing through that afterburn. Chuggy just gets chunked.
And Pon even gets that stolen away. Agent of Wrath burns down. That's a feels bad, man, when Pon the original was the one diving the turret, laying down the hurt. But hey, it doesn't really matter. We're at 11.4k gold, 5 minutes 7-0. That's, you know, 3,000 gold ahead of their opponents. It's a huge lead for these guys. 3,000 gold, that's an item in value. Maybe not quite an item for everyone, but you know, this is really hard. Now you have to consider, what do you do to come back, and it's realistically it's a store to like 30 minutes when everyone's on a level playing field, and that may even not suit you, as Vox is going to be just chunking people in the late game.
So a little bit of a flip on in what I was actually expecting. Monk, it picks up into the Crystal, and the whole team now going to be coming up here to the top. Monk feeling very powerful with that alternating current, but Crystal Ringo, you know, if you want to have any kind of big burst, you know, that's probably it before we can get a Crucible. We don't actually have any reflex available here on the side of Liberation, although if they have actually just noticed that this will be Crystal, I suspect that we will see a little bit of a prioritization sometime in a little bit, but not for Vox. Because Pon here, before 6 minutes, picks up that breaking point, and he's just going to be putting in the hurt.
Yeah, and look at Status just diving onto the back line, doing so much damage. Without Pon, they do have to wait a bit, but now it comes through. Pon going to get on the board as he's looking to this chonk Monk down. The breaking point stacks starting to build up. 8-0. I like the CP Ringo, you know, forecourt. I understand the logic. Realistically, Monk doesn't want to get close to the fight. He doesn't want to be anywhere near Status and his afterburns, so he's looking to lay down damage from afar. Makes sense, but it's just not working. They're too far behind. A double kill for Pon, and this should be the turret going down as well.
Mongo literally just walked right to the middle of lane. If that was a bait, then it was a bait on his teammate, because turret down here as well, and now they're surrounding Chuggy.
Yeah, it's almost like Khans have given up here. Status gonna go impressive, finds his third kill. 11-0 at 7 minutes. Wow, okay. It's hard really to throw super analysis at this one, forecourt, because it feels like it's over, not gonna lie.
It's 11-0, perfect games. We actually had a few perfect games yesterday in Group 1, as again, like some of those bigger names kind of came through, and this might have been a fan-voted pick, but in my personal opinion, if you put the #1 seed up against a relatively unknown down into the 60s for seeding, you're going to get games like this. You really have to be kind of that diamond in the rough, that unknown upstart talent, if you want to be bringing the heat up against some of these names. And these names have been throughout Vainglory history. Marto, Status Bake, well, not Status Bake no more. He's kicked that habit. And Pon the original here as well. Like, these are not names that you take lightly in this situation. So you got to keep a very strong mentality. And the Khans, I'm not entirely too sure they're in a spot to keep that mentality strong.
Right, it's a difficult scenario. I like that Status has dropped his baking hobby. We'll have to see what the next one is. Maybe he changes his name after this to Status Pone or something like that.
But you know, there's Vainglory to be played, man.
Right?
No
look at the new spring map. Maybe he goes gardening. He could be Status Gardener. There you go. New hobbies. Let's go. Speaking of hobbies, Status looking to just charge on in and take people down. Pon the original does the work, but Status finds the kill. Monk under the turret trying his best. A Hellfire Brew going to come through, but it's reflex blocked nicely by Status, and that's just going to be Mongol overextending and being dropped. Can Monk get out? Yes, he can. so it won't be entire annihilation. But the Crystal Sentry gonna get involved. Why not? Might as well. In fact, he's doing a bit of work. Will fall nonetheless, so that's his first life depleted. 13-0, 23k to 14.8. Wow.
It's quite the difference going back and forth, Mr. Dowsey. Absolutely. Pond the original did stack up a few kills this round. He went from 003 to 406. Has himself that breaking point he got real early on, but one monocle done. The second here on the way. He's going to be an absolute terror. And speaking of, status baked. Again, status the green thumb. I really got to kick that habit myself here. He has the full crown. He has that aftershock. I mean, the cooldown reduction is absolutely insane. I think you can have this, down to 7 seconds afterburn, plus that big burst when you hit somebody because of the modifiers that comes with that. So he's no joke at this point. And Marto, he doesn't need damage. He has 5 kills already. I mean, his farm has been so far accelerated that this cons team, they're basically just stuck at turret. They can't even go into their jungle. They got no vision, and they get ganked, they're done.
Status has a 2 level lead, as does Marto over his opposition. It's yeah, they are stuck under the turret here, and even when the wave crushes in and Liberation X comes for a bit of a visit, it's not looking great. Look at Mongol just getting annihilated. It is going to be Pon going on forward. Does take a lot of damage, so has to fall back. Chuggy trying to find a kill, but it is going to be Pon finding the killer blow nonetheless. A bit of a moon cloak to escape, but the turret will fall nonetheless. And we're at 11,000 gold at this 10-minute mark in the lead for Liberation X.
In terms of just what do we have on defensive power, we do got some level 6s out there, and well, alright, that's going to be again on top of status. The only person here that can block Hellfires is Glaive, and that's 2 for 2 of an ult landing on top of the worst target possible. We need to find some better decision making here from the cons, and unfortunately their options are limited. They're just down to not even the choke turret. It's just now down to those vein crystals, and well, I mean, you lose that, you lose the game here, Dowsey.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, you know, the surrender vote kicks in at 15 minutes, but will we even make it there? You know, maybe a bit of BM, but it's just an absolute destruction. Yeah, Flicker falls, Mongol finds the kill. Good damage comes out from both Monk and Chuggy, but it's not enough! A double, and that will be the ace, possibly even the game. They don't even need minions to finish this one off. Going for that first Vayne turret, it's gonna fall easy peasy. Actually, Liberation X will fall back. Not going to overextend here. They want that perfect game for court.
Yeah, Status doesn't need to take up gardening or anything. He already has a hobby. That's taking names here in Vainglory Challenger Series, man. 17-0, perfect run coming in. I don't have this in stone, but from what I recall watching the games from yesterday, I don't think Glaive lost.
Like, he's really a high up there.
Yeah,
in the meta right now.
We had the Lyra band out. I understand the double heals are definitely to be contended with here, and the Alpha band there as well. But I would almost take an Alpha over a Glaive at this point in the game. He's just such a powerhouse early on. He can set up the kills, and that knockback is just so versatile.
Absolutely. The Stormcrown build that we've seen popularized here, definitely popular in North America. Some of the Europeans still sticking to the weapon power. We saw that in the Challenger Series today, but I'm really a fan, and Status certainly showing us how it works. Look at Chuggy hugging the wall. He's going to knock Status back, but that Giffian's wall won't be blocking anyone, let's be real. As Pon going to jump on forward, clear this wave. This just could be it. The minion wave going to crash into the Vayne crystal turrets. Will get cleared on up, and Pon the original with a bit of BM just recalling in front of his opponents, because why the hell not?
There's very little else to do. Crystal Sentry going to make this a 4v3, but with the powers difference, I don't think it's actually going to matter.
Crystal Sentry?
Yeah, he's already down, man.
Wow. So, Hellfire Brew comes out on the original, the target, but he reflex blocks it, gets the heal up from Marto. Here comes a Mooncloak. Okay, Khans, they want to go aggressively. Oh no, they've stepped on a trap Status. He's not going to allow you to get away from this one. Monk taking a huge chunk of damage upon the original to get on in. Verse of Judgment goes out, and Mongol able to block it before he loses his life. And now for Liberation X, they just need to hit these turrets. But no, they don't have fall back. They want to take everything, recall, buy up a little bit more. The Kraken not even on the map yet, so A little bit of respect from Liberation X, possibly not needed to be shown.
Well, Gold Miner into Kraken if you really just want to do a flashy end to this game. Otherwise, we might just have that surrender vote coming through. We really have our hands tied here from the cons. I mean, again, like, they could not come into their jungle. They couldn't go past really any of those inner turrets. And now with practically zero presence here on the map, it's basically the playground all set up here for Liberation X. Good start to a comeback team. This brand won out the very first North American finals. They kind of went through a bit of a rocky patch last year, but they're going out strong here in the challengers to get us started.
What is that? A 15,000 gold lead as Status just dives straight onto 3. Monk on a 4, and now it's the rest of his team short to follow. Mongol gets knocked away, going towards that single coastal turret. It's Chuggy trying his best to hit on the base, and he will be able to in the end, but it's looking all done here. Pon the original wants to take this turret. He says, get on under there! Mato, as Mongol gonna get knocked into that burst. Oh, it's huge. A double kill for Pon, and the ace to come through. That turret to 4, and it will be game 1 of this series. Of course, going to Liberation X, as they just wipe the floor with Khan. They're padding their stats. They want more kills. Why not? 22 to 0, 41k to 24k. It's just crazy stuff here, Dragonborn.
Might just have to give him a moment to come back into this one. There he is, but still, I mean, it's a fantastic start for these guys. They came in strong.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we take a look. I mean, there's not really much to talk about as far as, like, normally you'd want to, like, look at items or strategies or what went wrong, but honestly, you're talking about, you know, arguably one of the best teams in this bracket, maybe one of the best, right? We're going to find out as we get later on the rounds, but, you know, definitely one of the strong ones coming in here and just obviously dominating. Like, I think a lot of people expected they would play well, and this is a perfect game, a very in excess of perfection, as they put up a lot of kills.
22 and 0. Yeah, there's a pretty just straight difference of 22. You don't even need math, no matter what time it is in the morning there, Dowsy. But again, early start, good stuff. We got some good comfort picks. Status, of course, on his glaive. That's world renowned at this point. And glaive's in a fantastic position currently in NA meta. Overall Vainglory meta, I'd even go as far to say here, Dowsy.
Absolutely. Worldwide, we're seeing glaives come out consistently in the jungle. Perhaps the build's a little bit different every now and again. So it's one of those things that I think you're right. Ban glaive, especially against status, right? It's just one of those.
It's rather hard to play a good card game, isn't it, Dragon?
Yeah, it is. And glaive is really strong this patch. I mean, it's not like Status pulled this pick out as a joke. Glaive, he's aggressive. He's great at initiating. There's a lot you can do with a glaive. So, you know, it was actually a really good pickup in the jungle. It played right into the kind of the meta that's currently in Fix, as well as something that he could kind of play that he's really comfortable on, that he doesn't have to think too hard about how to play mechanically. So definitely exciting. We're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna get ready for the second game. So we're gonna take a very, very short break, but don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back. And when we come back, game 2 between Liberation X and Cons will take place. We'll be right back, everyone.
Only $14.99.
miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for game number 2 between Liberation X and Cons, and everyone's ready to start. So let's start getting in there. But real quickly, Forecourt and Dalsy, you can chime in too. Just looking at kind of what Cons could possibly do. Looks pretty bleak. Liberation X looks like they're in the driver's seat, and no turning back for them. But what could Cons maybe do differently here going into this game?
Well, I don't know about you, Dowsy, but even banning Glaive, like letting through an alpha, letting through a heal, I don't think it really matters. I think it came down to fundamental just understanding of the game. I just think that we're just so far ahead here from Liberation. But yeah, what are your 2 cents here, Dowsy?
I think you need to play your most comfortable heroes in this game. If you're going to beat the best, or at least go up against some of the legends in the Vainglory scene, then you need to be as comfortable as possible. And so my recommendation to Khans is just go for that. And they're going to ban away Lance, interestingly, in the first, as we jump into draft. It's Glaive being hovered here. That's weird. Why would you ban Lance? I don't feel like Lance is as strong as some of the other picks that you could be banning away.
Well, remember I was talking about how last time if he was Liberation X with the Lance, I might automatically assume he's jungle. Yeah, well, I mean, he's still a power pick for Liberation X. They got multiple people that can play him that well.
Yeah, I guess so. Just with some of the nerfs in patch 2.2 and some of the games I've seen so far on patch 2.2, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a believer anymore. This Adagio Lyra makes a lot of sense, and we're going to see Kestrel locked in here for Liberation X as well. Could be lane, could be jungle. We'll have to see.
Yeah, could be lane, could be jungle. It's just a really nice neutral pick. You can kind of hide your cards, so to speak, while getting yourself a pretty solid pick to start things off. Now, we do got a Kestrel coming through. No Vox, no Ringo. Looks like a Fortress to mix things up here. So that's probably going to be that laning Chugi. I would. Yep. Well, was it Chugi? No, Chugi was actually the jungle Monk. It's going to be Monk probably on that Adagio. That's my bet going through. Are we hiding a pick here for a Saw? I heard some good things about a push comp yesterday.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens as we do get on. And it's going to be a Gwen locked in. Okay, so it's a jungle Adagio by the looks of it, but the Saw is coming through. So a push comp indeed, Forecourt. Wow. Talk to me.
I heard just yesterday VGL EU, the push comp with a Saw hidden into a third pick with the Kestrel. I believe it was with a Flicker on top of it, but you got that Lyra there. She's probably, if I had to take a guess, Marto going to be in lane with Pawn the original. Just keep him healthy, make sure they continuously put up the pressure. That I'm not entirely too sure Gwen will be able to counter. Like, Gwen can get pretty spammy with her energy, and if she goes dry early on, she's just going to get pushed down.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it is game 2 of this first series. Liberation X leading 1-0 against Khans. And Khans now with a ace up their sleeve, or in fact it's Liberation with the ace up their sleeve, despite the Gwen on Khans' side. This Saw locked in for Pawn the original. Have to see how this one gets played out. The push will be really strong, and maybe they're just playing on the mentality here for Court. Win the game pre, 10 minutes, considering that they just stomped them previously.
I'm a little surprised they didn't actually commit harder on top of Monk looking for that kill right there, but now Monk, again, a little bit more on the back foot, right? No crazy early game kills, but everybody here in lane, Khans will not hold this.
Wow, it's huge. Just glimmer shot after glimmer shot pushes everyone back, allows Pawn the original to do the damage, but they aren't going to fall back here. Allow for Pawn the original to heal up using his potions and go secure some the first wave of damage, I guess you could say, thwarted by Khans.
Alright, so the jungle pressure should be now rising up here to lane from Khans. They've actually had a pretty solitary clear by themselves. But again, Pawn the original and Marto, very much a babysitting kind of game is going to be happening here. Both healers just looking to keep those laners, very much in tip-top shape. But Monk, once more, he's getting pushed back farther and farther. Marto's able to get off some pretty good chunky damage at this point. And Pawn, he's getting all the last hits. He's built into that sustain. He's built into that weapon. Khans looking to make something happen.
Wow, and just the glimmer shots to secure that first blood. It's looking like a second. Chuggy on 10 HP. Can someone find the killing blow? No, they won't be able to. Status out of energy, so no more glimmer shots. Leaves Monk under this turret, but hey, Status just needs to auto attack it and it will go. And look at it falling down. There's nothing that Monk can do to stop this barrage of damage. That's going to be the first turret going down. Will it? No! They managed to push it off. The shield comes back just in case. But yeah, you're right. It will happen. Just give it 10 seconds.
Yeah, the low-hanging fruit that is this turret, I mean, that's still going to be a pre-3-minute push. And I'm not entirely too sure that the cons are really going to be able to muster too much more past that. I mean, once they lose that safety net, they're not going to be able to foray farther out into the map. They're going to be losing out a lot of pressure, especially here mid. And because they won't have that fallback, even going so far as just the shop becomes a very dangerous endeavor.
Absolutely. Saw Mungle come into the lane and just get wiped off the floor. That's how fast you can go from 100 to 0 against this Liberation X squad. And so position going to have to be pristine from Khans, and look at Chuggy, he's pushed right on up. Status is just going to respond glimmer shot after glimmer shot. Now there's nothing to stop this turret from falling. One auto attack will do the trick. In fact, they will look for that execute with the knife, the shank. They're looking bad. Mongol dives on in, but he gets destroyed! And they're looking for Chuggy as well. He's gonna go down. Monk, the lone survivor, as he just watches two of his teammates fall in front of his eyes. And as you said, Khans are struggling. The glimmer shots just mean that they have no HP. It allows Pon to take the toe. Oh wow, Monk just about gets away. What can Khans do?
Unfortunately, they just don't have a comp that is dive enough for this. I mean, yes, the Fortress, he's going to be able to lead the pack, and that's what they tried to do, but he just became a new fur coat here for Liberation X, because once he jumps in, other than Chuggy getting off a heal, game's way too early. I mean, there's not going to be any fountains. There's no real shields to build up into this one. Once Mongo gets into the thick of things, he has to look at Pon, just going to be machine gunning him down. Status is pure crystal at this point. Those glimmer shots are no joke. And even past that, Marto can just trip you up with the sigil. And on top of things, he throws out the curveball every auto attack. So once you close that gap, you're basically done for. The two in the back are just not going to have kind of the same presence as you would with perhaps a triple melee dive.
It's a hard reality, really, that Khans are living here. And I guess the saving grace is that if they can hold on another 8 minutes, perhaps, they're going to be in a position where the Saw just isn't as influential as he is currently in this early game, compared to maybe the Gwen, who will scale up a little bit later. It's just not looking like it's going to happen. 2 turrets already, a 3,000 gold lead. Status gets dived on, but he doesn't even care. That's 1 kill for him. He's just looking to walk away, and here comes Pon, the original, to shank Gwen up. A double for Pon, an ace for Liberation X, and now this choke turret is going to fall.
If you can't take a 3v2, there's no way you're going to be taking a 3v3, and Status was able to just kite that out. Marto with the fountain came in strong, had himself that heal, the trip up, and the interference all coming through, keeping Status alive, and again, they just turn and burn!
That was so clean. Kill the target in front so you can get the one on the back. It's going to be 1 Vein Crystal turret falling. Liberation X to fall back, wait for their minions, but I don't even see them walking out of the base here. They have shown that they can just annihilate the health bars of Khans, and look at that. Monk gets half health of 2 glimmer shots. There's 2 more in where that came from. This Vein Crystal turret not going anywhere. Neither is Chuggy, as Pon the original finds a kill, but he does fall, and that will be the push thwarted for Liberation X, and the first kill in this series here for Khan.
Well, Marto had a fountain. I'm not entirely too sure the status of that book, but I feel like he might have been able to prevent that at the same time. He probably didn't expect that level of damage. First death in 2 games is really not enough to celebrate about, but now with the pups out scouting, could be looking for a Marto kill.
Yeah, Marto will use his fountain here and is going to ult away. Can he get away from Mongol? The Century going to come in and provide a bit of assistance. Looks like Khan's made a bit off more than they can chew here, as Pon going to just chew through the health bars. A one-shot on to Monk and a Sheng to finish it off. It's great synergy coming from Liberation X, and Mongol tries to recall, but it's not going to happen. He's going to get taken on down. Glimmer shot to find the kill. An ace at 7 minutes. 12-1 here. That Crystal Sentry to go as well. Liberation X is just having a bit of fun right now.
Right, so a little bit of fun has turned into a 7, well, a little bit more after this. 8,000 gold lead. Yeah, let's call it that. Pretty free and clear. The infusions that they picked up early game have paid off wonderfully. Now with some tier 3 items. I mean, Pawns, he already had the Sora Blade. He has tier 3 boots on top of that. It's just so he can stay mobile up against this comp in case they do find that they're engaged. Of course, we haven't seen a very successful engage yet, but you never know when that could turn. Status goes straight into a crystal, Shatter Glass. So he's not messing around. He's not going to be going for anything except pure raw damage. And really, one more fight, and I mean, you can probably just kiss this game goodbye. That's one turret left between Liberation X and a 2-0, and it has about a fifth of its health here, Dowsy.
Yeah, look at Chuggy setting up a bit of a wall of scout traps. Good. Ace comes out, tries to connect to Status, and they aren't going to push Liberation X out of the base here. Suppressive fire goes down, Mongol jumps in, and that was a mistake. He falls, and the one-shot lands onto Monk. Impressive stuff coming out of Pon. Chuggy gonna fall as well. That's the ace in the base, 8-20, and that will be the turret falling. This series, it goes in favor of Liberation X. The Saw push composition forecourt was just too strong for Khans.
Yeah, the Twitch chat kind of called this one here, Dowsy. They said 8-minute game. They weren't far off. Gonna clock out at 8:40. But again, like once this comp kind of just set up with the Kestrel and the Lyra, you can't really predict that there's going to be a Saw. And even if they did, I'm not entirely too sure Khans would have had it in the bag. They just looked too nervous, a little bit too new, and the engages that they took weren't very well thought out. So we'll salute them for their efforts. Sorry that they had to go up against number 1. Somebody's gotta, though. And Liberation X, well, welcome back to the fold.
Yeah, guys, welcome back. I mean, they came in really, really strong. Definitely impressive to see them. You gotta have to feel bad for the Khans to have their first matchup, but they're not out of this tournament. They are going to drop down to the loser brackets and then try another chance at making their way through the tournament here and actually making a name for themselves, maybe even making it into the final playoff week. It's possible, as 4 teams from the loser bracket do make it to that pristine position. So they're not out of it yet. They've got a ways to go, but they are going to be moving down. And with that, we're going to be getting ready for our next series here in just a very, very few moments. We're pretty excited for this next one, as this is going to be NRG coming in here, and they're going to be playing their very first competitive matchup here in the spring season. I don't know about you guys, but this is kind of the roster. I think we've got a lot of questions on how they're going to perform, how they're going to morph here. So they've got a lot of work to do. And of course, they're starting off this spring season here in the Challenger Series, one of the only orgs to come in to Vainglory, not in the top Vainglory 8. So they've got a lot to work on and prove to make sure they can get in there, get into their spot, and show everybody that they deserve to be among the elite. We are going to take a quick break, though. When we return, it was a very quick match, quick series. Of course, we have to get everything ready for the next series. So we're going to take a very, very short break. Don't go anywhere, folks. And when we get back, it's going to be NRG versus Team VIS. It's going to be pretty awesome. You're not going to want to miss it here in a few.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As we get into this first day of Group B, it's been pretty exciting so far. We just finished our first series, and Liberation X coming in storming, red hot, annihilating their opponent, going just one kill by the enemy team on Liberation X. Almost a perfect series, as they didn't lose any objectives or turrets from what I could count, so definitely really impressive. Dalsy, as you kind of look at the next couple of matches, we're going to be getting into the next one, NRG versus Team VIS. What are some of the quick things that you're looking at down the road? Of course, we got a lot of exciting matchups, but definitely as far as teams you think are going to be making the long run to the playoffs here in the Challenger Series, what are some of your favorites?
So I'm expecting, the real answer to that is going to be, I think, our next game, which is looking like it may be Noble Pro versus Nemesis Titan. That's going to be really exciting because that will kind of dictate which one of those two teams is going to make it really far down. But of course, they need to win their games already. This Energy roster is very interesting. The only major organization to come into Vainglory and pick up a Challenger Series roster. And, these players, they're well known. They're veterans of the scene. Are they the top of the scene? Well, maybe not. So they've got a lot to prove, really. Now playing under the Energy logo and under the Energy brand, they're really going to have to prove that Energy came into the scene, they did their homework, and really knew what they were talking about when they picked up a Challenger Series team, because there's so many great teams playing in the VIS64 that only 3 of them can compete to make it to Vainglory 8.
Yeah, I mean, in forecourt, let's take a look at that roster as we get in here. NRG versus Team VIS. Team VIS, somewhat new name as well, just kind of like we saw with Cons. We don't know a lot of these faces, so they're here to kind of make a name, maybe surprise us. We'd love that. Of course, losing this matchup today doesn't mean they're out of the tournament. They actually are going to move to the loser bracket and still have that chance. But here's NRG's roster. Chombo 305, Hardek, Gaspy, local Puerto Rican. That's as it stands today.
Yeah, I'm not entirely too sure about local Puerto Rican, but if anybody has any eyes on the fall season, Hardek, yes, he was part of Cloud9 in the past, but now moving over to Energy, he's with Gaspy. Before he became, super high league, these guys were all Nemesis, and Hardek and Gaspy put them together. They actually had some pretty good results in some of the matches that we got to see. So now they're here together. They got Chombo there on the support side of things, I do believe, and it's just been working out for them very well. On the flip side, though, Team VIS, they have 6 players on their roster. If this first 3 doesn't actually work out, they might be able to cycle through and look for a better combo.
Absolutely. So we'll have to see kind of how it plays out. I mean, obviously this is just the first split, and then there are many other seasons coming, and so I think everyone's got their eye on Worlds, right? That's all leading up to the end of the year, but it really is important to start building the proper foundations right now. Like build that roster, build that continuity. We've seen in the Vainglory competitive scene that the teams that have the strongest continuity seem to be doing very well. Like, teams that, have stuck together, like Team Solo Mid, players that have really played together consistently, like Old School and I Love Joseph, building those relationships and that respect and that trust with other players is really important. I mean, just like Liberation X, right? These guys have been playing together, so even though they weren't on teams together for a good chunk of last year, they were before, and, they come together, they just know how to work together right away. So, one of the things I'm really glad, and we see it with a few of the teams in VG8, and we're starting to finally see it across the competitive scene as a whole, is teams are starting to really focus on sticking together. And so I do want to see NRG, if they can really be successful with this roster, stick together. If they have some bumps, maybe, add 1 or 2 people, but really try to build that continuity, that foundation for this season, because I feel like that's the key to success here in Vainglory right now.
It definitely goes a long way when you can trust in your teammates, when you guys practice so much, what each other are thinking, you're able to get off those executions almost telepathically with each other. That team will go all the way to number 1. We've seen that in the past. We've seen the champions with just such cohesive play, and that's something that challengers really do need to strive towards. I mean, it was Team Snow from challenger to champion in the EU summer season. Snow Avalanche went all the way. We saw such a transformation of their team over those few months.
Yeah, we did. Well, we are going to jump to the draft, so Dowsey, let's get right into it and see what's coming in the draft.
No surprise, Glaive banned instantly by Energy, and a Ringo ban coming through for Team VIS as a response. Now we have to see what Energy are looking to prioritize here. The Adagio makes a lot of sense for Court. He's pretty much been 100% pickle ban throughout almost every game I've seen so far in this
100% first pick. Yeah, here tonight for sure. Arden actually being prioritized is certainly interesting, coming out here from TTNS. That Team VIS. There we go. There's no V in that. Thanks, guys. Yeah, but with that, we do get ourselves a Vox, which means probably not going to be an Adagio lane.
Right. Yeah, it's looking like we'll have to see maybe a Baron coming through. He's certainly been played a lot recently.
Gwens, we've seen Kestrels, even Skies. The odd.
It is going to be Adagio. Okay, well, maybe not. Black Feather also could work out here. So a bit of a flex there for Energy. They could take the Adagio in the jungle. They could take the Black Feather in the jungle. It's really up to them.
But Heartache will... I can't imagine that Heartache would not be the Black Feather in this case. It definitely fits for him. It's been a power pick in the past. The bigger problem that we have right now for Team VIS is that they're up against a double heal dive comp. And I do believe, with all my heart, that if you get the double heals, you have to have a melee brawler. You have to have a guy with that gap close so you can become that delivery system for the fire. So you can portal in, so you can save those gap closers and those invulnerabilities that we have built into the Black Feather for a little bit later on. Rona to be the cleanup here for Team VIS. And that's honestly a really good counter pick by the end of it all. Don't have anything, I think, to stop her spinning to win. So if we all get collapsed upon and she gets into that red mist, that actually could do some pretty decent counter damage.
Yeah, it's all on Chombo, really, to put down that Bright Bulwark and stop the engage from the Rona. Guys, it's game one of this series between NRG and Team VIS, playing to stay in the winner's bracket here for VIS64. Onto the fold. We'll have to see how this NRG roster can perform.
All right, so it is going to be Gatsby. On top of that, Adagio, a little bit of attack speed built up for him, but with some crystal built into Heartache, he's going to be quite the force. If he can build that up, if they can snowball that into a pretty decent amount of crystal early on, he will be very, very hard to deal with. But there's also weakness to this. If Heartache misses his on-point shields, he all of a sudden becomes very squishy. So that's something that you're going to try to outplay in that regard. We'll have to see how Team VIS does. They are sticking as 3 here, Dowsey, and they're making a foray into the opposite side of the fold.
Yeah, essentially they've worked out based on the timing of the rotations from Energy that currently it is Heartache on their backs taking their treant. So as a 3, they move into the jungle of NRG, but that does mean that the tempo, the momentum plays into Energy's hands. Look at Gatsby in the lane pushing this wave towards the turret. It's going to be a lot of CS missed here for that Vox. And Energy have kind of set the tempo. Also, they get the treants, so Elder Treant goes their way. They almost get to have their cake and eat it. It's a great start for Energy.
I understand strength in numbers, perhaps, the branding here up against Heartache. Like, there was actually a little bit of trash talk before the game even started. So I thought Team VIS actually had some good confidence in this, but now I'm questioning it.
Yeah, and look at this. It's going to be Marine Force Recon taken down. First blood comes through for Gatsby. And a misstep. Heartache sitting in that pixel bush. The dot. It's so often not checked. And it's so easy to fall prey to.
Again, strength in numbers is a good idea, but you touched upon this yourself, right? They missed out quite a bit of this lane. CS, the pressure's already there. They started tickling that tower down, taking it out. If you can do wood chipper on top of it, every little bit counts, right? Might not be big hits, but it will wear it down. And now down to first blood, and they've been robbed of their jungle once more. I mean, Team VIS have dug themselves into a pretty steep hole here.
Look at the gold. It's definitely showing that Energy have got the better of this, 6.4k to 4.5k, a 2,000 gold lead at 2.5 minutes, and maybe this is a good move for Team VIS to get back in. No, Force Recon will fall. Hardik just laying down the hurt, and he's looking for more. Where are you gonna go? Nowhere. And then turn their fury on to this boy Funny. He might just be able to get away, but no, Hardik says, I will chase you to Hell's End. 4 kills on the board here for Energy. And they've just turned up the heat entirely, taken that 2k gold lead, turned it into a 3k gold lead, and just will not allow Marine Force Recon to get any of these jungle creeps.
Hardik was able to do some pretty good execute damage there at the end of it. As soon as he got that 3rd kill, I looked down at his items like, did he upgrade his crystal? No, that was just with a bit. So again, like, he will, if he can snowball, and so far we're off to a great start for Energy. That crystal damage ramps up into some pretty unstoppable amounts a little bit later on. You don't really have to worry about Energy with the Black Feather, right? You just got to manage that yellow bar instead of the blue. And from there, you know, really good players are going to be able to chase him down, and that's exactly what Hardik's doing.
Yeah, poor Coesis going to run the opposite direction to try and allow the rest of his team to escape. Gaspy finds his 3rd. It's 5-0 at 4 minutes. It's just looking so hard for Team VIS. They got the worst end of an early rotation. Energy punished them for it and then punished them some more. And Hardik hasn't given it up yet. He's straight onto Marine Force Recon here, trying to do the hurt. It is getting traded back, but Chombo going to come to support. Gaspy, in fact, will take the kill. And there's not really much that Team VIS can do. Crystal Sentry will spawn, so Energy does have to piece on out. Hardik taking a lot of damage. He might just get caught, in fact. This boy Funny doing his best to get on to this Black Feather. And I don't really see an out for Hardik here. He will fall. First kill for Team VIS.
Alright, now that has to be something of a morale boost right there. The problem is, again, that they've lost out repeatedly their jungle. So yeah, Hardik goes down, that's fine. You just got him back home easily enough. And now he's actually going to take a little bit of a left turn. No crystal to go with it here, so it will not be a double crystal. Gaspy, you can see, has already gone into the alternating. But we are going to go straight into the weapon from here. So Hardik, he gets a little bit more consistent damage, a little bit less bursty. But again, once that level 6 hits, there's no stuns really on either side outside of Koyas here actually getting off a gauntlet, and he's level 3, so that's going to be a far way away.
Yeah, speaking of levels, Hardik's about to hit level 6, and Marine Force Recon has only just hit level 4, so it's so much of a lead here for Energy, not just in gold, but in experience as well, and experience often dictates power in the early game. Look at Hardik, he's able to just dive straight onto this turret. It falls at 5.5, and they're looking for more. Hardik deep though, he goes crazy deep, and he will fall. This boy Funny gonna find his 2nd morale booster indeed, and wait for it gonna come out as well. Chombo trying to get out Gaspy, laying down the hurt, and this boy Funny will fall, looking for Marine Force Recon. As soon as the VIS got themselves at an advantage, they became cocky, charged too deep.
Both sides actually charging too deep with their melees as it ends up. The trade here will actually go over to Marine Force Recon. Nice leap over the wall to keep him safe, but that's actually not a bad sign at all here for Team VIS. If they're still able to pick up kills, yeah, they're still down in that hole, but every time they can get a kill, every time they can trade, or even better yet, get a 1-0 and retreat, right? That's just going better and better for them. They'll get them closer to parity, especially if they can take home some bounties a little bit more down the line. So Hardik, he's going to have to keep in mind that he's not invincible, not yet.
No, certainly, and currently is feeding on his team, if you could call it that. 7-2, it's a great start, a 5,000 gold lead here, and Team VIS really they don't have much options to do anything. They're kind of singing Energy's tune here. This boy Funny has to be so careful under this turret. Marine Force Recon just hits level 6, so maybe we see this Rona try and make something happen. Dives on towards the turret. They don't want this fight, VIS, but Energy do. Look at Koyas just completely losing his HP. It's just a hard time. Crystal Sentry, it spawns, it dies, 2 lives remaining. And VIS doing their best to survive, but the health bars are ticking away.
but they are surviving. They're not getting the better of the trades, but they're not dying straight out here either. Getting this Arden up to level 6, getting him up to snuff, making sure that he can actually finish off and pick himself up a fountain. Those are some big immediate goals that we need to do here for Team VIS, because there's just such a power difference in not only the levels but the items here as well. A gold miner, if that gets stolen out, it'd be great, but not even going to take the chance. Energy picks up another 700 odd gold, and this is now a 2-item Gatsby. We're starting to look at ourselves into the realm of no return as Gatsby continues to get more powerful.
Yeah, watch those Broken Myth stacks start to add on up in the fights. Gatsby has been a sustained point of damage, almost uncontested so far in every fight that we've seen in this game. A breaking point is finally completed for Marine Force Recon, and a pause is going to come through as well. So we'll give you word as to what's up. Hopefully will be resolved very shortly. But Forecourt, this gives us a chance to just have a bit of an overlook. It's a 6 points, an overlook. Oh, I've gone very posh. No, a 6.4k gold lead here for Energy. But it's not all over. Vox, Rona, certainly going to scale up. There's opportunities for VIS to punish some errors that Energy are putting out and attempt to claw their way back into this game.
Well, there was definitely some thought about a double crystal versus a double weapon. When Heartache finally went home and spent out his cash, that thought was thrown out the window since he is going into that weapon. But we are still sticking with the double red to come out here for Team VIS. So both Rona and their Vox, they're now both rocking those breaking points. So a lot of attack speed now to build up for these guys, especially some good stacks in some of these team fights will go a long way for their damage output if they can survive to the point where the stacks kick in. That's kind of the kicker. We're still not level 6 here for Koyas. I think that's how we say it, Koyas. But he's pretty close. I mean, he has the cash, just needs to go home, pick it up. I think he really wants to hit level 6 first, though, and those are both very obtainable goals for these guys.
Yeah, certainly is. So watch for that gauntlet to hit, hopefully, the fountain at the same time. As we do unpause here, get back onto the fold for some more action here. Bit of a lull, a bit of a break of tempo. It's plays into VIS's hands, but they still have to respect the aggression that Energy can put out here, and you can see Marine Force Recon doing so.
All right, level 6 Arden has that fountain. The team has at least their base mechanics now in play if they want to make this happen. We do have a reflex on Gatsby, but that's about it. So a good gauntlet could set ourselves up here for a nice kill, and if Team VIS can get one, well, perhaps they can get more on top of that as well. Losing out their sentry, though, that's one more life left here in that pipeline for the poor Crystal Sentry. He's been picked on pretty heavily.
Certainly has. It's not been a great time. You can see Energy are just trying to take any objective they can whenever they can to make this game harder for Team VIS to enter on into. Koyas, you look at him, he's positioning forward, getting those flares down, just looking for an opportunity for his team. This boy Funny has that breaking point and a single monocles. Will be looking for a second before realistically VIS are going to have the power to go for an all-in fight. But a good gauntlet could change things. This turret goes forward and it is going to be VIS engaging this fight. Heartache going low. Verse is gone out, but it will be blocked up and the gauntlet goes out. Turret there, and Heartache is doing work. Destroy Funny. He's going to kill them all. It's a double. Koyas cannot escape, and it is a triple kill coming through for Heartache.
A really pretty fantastic pick right there as Heartache gets himself the triple. They're going to go straight on top of that turret, on top of things as well. This boy Funny, I mean, he's kind of that ace up the sleeve right now of Team VIS, and he just went down so fast. That's the power of this Black Feather combo with Gatsby, with that Adagio, right? You have that delivery system, and Heartache is so hard to nail down. We aren't even going to get that sentry to his post. He gets intercepted and ambushed, and that's going to be it. That's the factory of sentries said no more. You get 3. I don't know what you're doing with them, but you ain't getting any more.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate times here for this team as the sentry no longer going to be on the map. And now for Energy, 10 minutes 45, 10-2, 28.3 gold to 18.2. It's a 10,000 gold lead at 10 minutes. Incredible stuff for Energy. And VIS, they're waiting for this Vox to come online, but they're not getting that opportunity. Koyas going extremely low before the fight even starts, and now Hardik can dive on in and start to rip this backline up. Reinforce, he gets taken on down. Hardik gonna look for Koyas next. In fact, he's looking at this boy funny as Gatsby gonna take down this Arden. And 12-2, I don't think Desboy Funny is even going to get to his fountain. No, Hardik gets that speed boost, gets the kill, unbeatable. They could just finish this one right here.
Could be a bit of a tall order, but with ace buff minions coming in, they will shred through at least one turret. They got Marine Force Recon there. He's actually not putting up any kind of pressure at all, is he?
No, he's not. Look at this. Burst comes through. Big damage from the verse, and Hardik will look for the double. Disboy Funny on the fountain won't fall for the triple, but the Vein Crystal will. In fact, he might fall as he goes for the aggressive play, tries to keep this game alive, and yeah, that's going to be Hardik diving the fountain. Oh, will he survive? Yeah, he will. But this crystal will go down. 12 minutes, 15-2, and maybe some of our questions were answered right here. Energy looking strong.
Yeah, and you were right on the money with it, Downsy. They're able to end out the game. I don't believe we've actually even gotten to Kraken territory yet in today's challengers, but Energy, one of the favorites to come into this one, definitely have a lot of power behind their brand. Energy coming in might not be, not an Evo 8 team. They're not a Vainglory 8 team, but one of the only brands in Challenger. Again, they could easily be that top 3 by the end of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, they're looking to make that claim
Mr. Dragon,
here.
I do believe game 1 in the bag, and I can't say it wasn't an expected result.
Right. Yeah, they're looking to make that claim here, trying to get into the top 3 teams here in Challengers, but make it to the top 8 in Vainglory. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, this is just the first round. The first round, it's one we really expect them to win, and they played very well. They played exactly like kind of what we expected. They definitely did a good, overall, 15-2. They didn't lose a turret. Overall, very, very strong match for NRG, and I think that going forward, we expect to see Game 2 being about as strong. It's really important that it kind of is. NRG's got a lot of eyes on them. They really want to perform to their best, but there's so many more rounds to go. They're just going to be going to winner round 2 after this, so a lot in store for this team as we make it through the bracket here, and a lot of really good teams to go up against as we get ready for game number 2. Although it wasn't, I will tell you, the early part of the game didn't seem like a complete bloodbath that we've seen maybe from some of the other higher seeds. What can Team VIS maybe take from that was good that they could capitalize on to try to go into the next game? So
their strength in numbers is definitely going to be a deterrent up against some solo pokes, some solo adventures to be had here by Energy. I mean, if you come up 1v3, I don't really care how early or how powerful you might be, but 3v1 is a tall order for a lot of people. So they did that very well in the beginning, so far that they actually gave up quite a bit of farm and positioning, and they didn't even get the Elder Treant out of it. But I noticed that by the time the end game came around, their 3-man mentality definitely slipped. And there was they kind of all over the place. They weren't really communicating very well, it seemed, because one person would go in, the other would run away, the third perhaps is trying to peel, but then they kind of split in different directions, right? So take that early game mentality of sticking together and apply it to throughout your series. You might have a bit of a better result.
Yeah, and as we get ready for this next game, game number 2, Dalsy, anything to take away that you kind of saw that you feel like Energy needs to be careful of, or Team VIS can be kind of looking forward to or trying to implement in game number 2?
I think that there's obviously a bit of an imbalance here in skill levels, and that's always going to be an issue here for Team VIS heading into this roster, into this second game. But momentum is like a huge thing, especially the tempo set at the beginning of the game. And Forecourt and I, we touched upon it in game 1. You need to be able to set the momentum straight away and then keep it up, or else the better team will just rip you apart. So what I want to see from Team VIS is getting their fists straight into the game, looking for those early fights, early engages, trying to make those proactive plays so that they can challenge Energy in their attempts to set momentum.
Well, this is a good start there. So, Dragon, we'll take it from here there, my friend. You keep up your good work there on the admin and production side of things. But Dowsy, not going to get any heals this round.
Yep, no, and this is fairly standard. This is what we've been seeing over in the European Challenger Series, the Dargio Lyra band, and now this is where I expect to see a Finn locked in. It is going to be the Arden picked up here for Khans, but Energy going to pick it up immediately. I feel like Finn is probably the strongest captain when there's no healing on the board for either teams, and so it makes sense for Energy to prioritize that.
He can definitely be aggressive. He can also be a stalwart defender for your side of things. So picking him up here is, I mean, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have seen any kind of carry Arden. So picking it up kind of like as the first pick here from Energy, I'm a little curious that they didn't try to prioritize, two big heavy hitters, but at the same time, you can hide your last pick in this regard. So I do believe that they are going to be looking for some kind of surprise counter by the end of it all. We'll have to see what VIS do wind up with. I mean, Glaive is still on the table. Alpha has been banned before. Looks like it will finally come through. So this will leave Hardek to figure out what he wants to jumble.
There's so many different options available. We saw a similar composition earlier today across the pond. It was a Vox Finn Samuel, which just tore apart the competition. I would like to see what they do decide to run instead. Taka did receive some buffs in this patch, and so I'm really excited to see how hard it can play this Foxy Ninja.
Okay. Not entirely too sure I would have predicted Ataka. With the Glaive still open, you can really have a nice 1-2 combo between a Glaive and a Finn, but we'll have to see how this one works out. Alpha definitely can be a little bit more annoying early on if you abuse her passive, because you can go do some pretty divey kind of things. As long as you don't land up under a turret, you can almost always come back to life with some good protection and peel from the rest of your team. So we'll have to see how aggressive VIS will get, because they're definitely shaken from that first round.
Yep, so this is game 2, guys, of this series between Team VIS and Energy. Energy taking first game in fairly dominating fashion, pre-15 minute stuff here. So both these teams, they have the opportunity to progress in the winners bracket. The loser will fall to the losers bracket, where they get that second chance to compete for their chance to make it to those challenge battles. And VIS, they struggled early in the previous game. The tempo was set quite early by Energy. This time, no shenanigans, and this could be exactly what VIS needed, just to try and get that early start that they're comfortable with.
And there's no invade going on, at least from the side of sorry, I almost called them Liberation. Energy. We're done with the Liberation games. Yeah, they were definitely done in the bag. But when it comes down to VIS, they're definitely going to get a little bit more of a comfortable start here. Gatsby in lane, like having that Finn there, it's not the end of the world. You can't get super aggressive, at least until level 6. As long as you stay away for that bush, he can't surprise quibble you. So I think that VIS are definitely going to feel a little bit more comfortable here early game.
Yeah, it's exactly what they needed. This alpha going to build towards that crystal power build that we've seen popularized recently. Marine Force Recon going to just try and get onto the back line onto Chombo to do the damage. Hardek is looking to play a bit of a pest, try and take away these camps. Koyas is going to be here, but this is a good collapse. Team VIS coming in full force, and Hardek has to get out. He goes stealth. No flares to reveal him. Can he get out is the question. In fact, he's going on to Disboy, and he's going to find the kill. That's first blood, and now they're turning this Marine Force Recon put in the passive. Rebooting, but not going to come through. Another kill for Energy. And VIS just get that turned around. Looked good to start off with, but hey, this is Energy.
Hardek is looking like one of those assassins from the void, like a guy in your nightmares that just never goes down, takes away the Treant, and looks like he's going to be A-okay here as well. Probably not going to stick around, but there's something I want to call your attention to here, Dowsy. It's Gatsby actually on that captain role this round. It was Chombo last time, so this is a bit of a role swap coming through.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see how this plays out for teams. Sometimes it works well. Oh, that is devastating. Treant OP, gonna just take the kill away. In fact, it goes to Chombo as a kill credit, because the Treant can't have kills. Unlucky man. No equal rights for jungle camps here on the Halcyon Fold.
One
Only
day,
heroes.
One day the jungle minions will hold a riot for equalization, but until then, no, we have to give those points away to actual players. So 3-0. It's not the bloodbath that perhaps some were expecting, but a pretty solid lead has now formed. 1,500 gold in the bank as Energy is just continuing to live on both sides of the map.
All right, and this is exactly what Hardik did so well in our first game against VIS. Just put Marine Force Recon behind, and he's continuing to put the pressure on this Alpha. Does have to respect the fact that there is a collapse, but hey, I'm a sneaky Tucker. I go in my box, I run away, and you can't see me.
If they had flares, Dowsy, it might be a different story.
It's something for Koisis to consider. Contraption, possibly necessary against Tucker so that he constantly has flares, or he just has to go back and buy a bunch, one of the two.
Well, there's two real big threats that you have to make a choice on here as a captain. So the first is you're always going to get the fountain, but what do you do with the second item? Now, a lot of the time it's going to be the Crucible, sometimes you go into the armor reduction with the Atlas, but up against somebody like Taka, there's definitely a lot to say about a contraption. The problem is that Taka's with a fin.
Yep.
So which threat do you want to deal with? Do you want that vision control, or do you want to possibly defeat a game-ending anchor?
And I think the priority will be placed on blocking the Forced Accord first.
So do I.
Because you can always purchase flares at the shop. In
just
fact,
get
a flare gun has been picked up. So,
but you don't need to take it past that. That's 600 gold spent. You don't need to focus on that. Look for the Crucible on top of that. Now the downside is that they're not traps, right? And they do have a cooldown, but a good cooldown can win you the match.
Yep, and look at this. Just Gatsby walking through the choke point doesn't give flying damn energy. Feeling so confident here as they take the creeps, now go towards the backs to secure some more. It's just Hardik stealing everything away. Though there isn't anything to steal just yet, maybe mistime that. Marine Force Recon so low, so there's no real chance for VIS to turn their table here. They're just going to have to push in this lane and then look for some recalls.
And
never mind.
No? Maybe not. Okay, so Marine Force, alright, he's gonna attempt. Yeah, he's gonna attempt. That's the best way to put that one. Chombo gets some chunks on top of Disboy, but Energy's here in full force.
Yeah, look at this. Chombo's here, the Crystal Sentry as well, and Marine Force has no passive to get away from this one. I think it was popped just now, and so he gets taken on down. Disboy finding the next target. If only Hardik wasn't taking the backs, they could have had the kills, but I guess the Sentry is just as good. Oh, X-Retsu available. Will Hardik go for the dive? Maybe not, as he's half health.
So unfortunate that it didn't quite work out there for Marine Force. At the same time, again, Energy, they're just looking pretty solid here in their early game. Level 5s, looking for those level 6s. Hardik, of course, already has the X-Retsu ready to go, but once Gatsby comes online, again, like those threats just go up and up and up, and you're going to have to try to dance around the Energy tempo.
Yeah, and look at Hardik here. Not a care in the world. Gatsby comes forward, Fountain goes out, and now Hardik can re-engage. X-Retsu onto the Arden, the mortal wounds ticking away. Chombo stuck in the middle of the fight, but he will find one before falling to that Ringo. Trading kills, amazingly, but Hardik able to just
there
this one up. There's the Force Accord. Yep, we were expecting it, and Koisis gets pulled on in. Hardik with a double, 7-1, and then ace to come through.
Well, 7-1 is still a pretty good start. That's 7 kills in just under 7 minutes. There's the contraption coming through, though, for Koisis. He is really going to be putting all of his eggs in the vision basket, but unfortunately, again, like, he's not really protecting the team very well. Even in that fight, you saw him dancing at the edge of the vision, right? He's like, oh, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can do something. No, he just ends up going down. Like, if you're not going to have the cooldowns, go home. Prevent the ace as the heroes still continue to die as they go on and on.
Yeah, Marine Force Recon has that termination protocol, but just wasn't in a position to put it out. Cooldown's not there, so this turret will fall at 7.5, 8-1, and this gold lead 4,000. Not as devastating as the previous game. VIS are still within a reaching grasp, but they have to start turning the fights here. They cannot allow Hardik and Chombo to dish out damage without going unreturned.
Right, so immense payout to go through on top of not only a fantastic push, but yeah, something in order of 5,000 gold between him here at Dowsy. The items are starting to look pretty devastating as Chombo's looking for his first of the monocles to go with that breaking point on top of the Vox. Gaspy is, well, if he actually finishes off that armor into an Atlas, you're looking at a 2-item support, whereas you're still pretty struggling here since Koyas went for a contraption instead of a fountain, which is, again, not going to be doing them any favors here. But Hardik as well with that crystal. I mean, it's very much the same as the glaive build early on. The cooldown reduction is insane. The burst, absolutely insane. And Taka has the reach to really put the hurt here.
Oh, and the cord onto Disboy, X-Retsu as well. He's just going to get eaten alive. No, manages to get out with the Vanguard and going to throw down that Hellfire's Brew. Hardik does take a bit of damage, but it's a weapon power Ringo, and so Hardik can look to re-engage with that reinforced health. Marine Force has to back away. Energy, Hardik is low. Crystal Sentry going to come back in. It only has one more life here, and it's likely to fall. So Marine Force Recon going to try and fight. There's the Termination Protocol onto Hardik, but he gets dodged out, not able to land that Prime Directive, and so the damage, it doesn't go through. Energy walk away to take the Trian, and now they can look to re-engage onto Marine Force Recon, who continues to want the fight. And it's going to be Gaspy running on in to provide a bit of cover for his carries. VIS very close to finding a kill, just mistimed on that ultimate.
Well, I mean, I'm rather surprised that nobody's actually gone down,
no.
but as I jinx it here.
Yeah, it's Marine Force Recon not going down. In fact, it's Disboy Funny. Hardik going to try and take this Alpha down in just a second, and there it is. The double kill comes through, and the Ace Koisus not long for this well. The Crystal Sentry Yugo as well eliminated from the map. 11-1 at 10 minutes. Energy, they heal up, and then they re-engage.
Yeah, with the Ace buff coming through, no more Sentry on top of things. Again, the Fold is their oyster. They really have everything available to them at this point. And 10 kills of 8,000 gold. I don't want to jinx it anymore here, Towsy, but Marine Force going in deep.
Yeah, trying to find the fight, as there's the Gauntlet as well. Hardik in the wall. Marine Force Recon on Chombo trying to stick, but once more, Chombo able to get out. Hardik going to take down this Ringo, and it's all gone wrong for Team VIS. Not able to find the kills. That's another, a third, a double here for the Ninja King. This Fox diving in on out. That turret falls, and man, Energy cannot be stopped.
Absolutely not, and I don't think there's really any kind of point of return available here to Team VIS. Not really anything wrong with their builds, it's just unfortunately their rotations are not nearly as cohesive. You can really see why Energy put a lot of stock by picking up this team, and it's just going to be it. They are dancing circles around VIS and Energy. They might not end the game now, but it's not far off.
No, it's not. They're going to just return to the jungle, steal away everything. It means that VIS are not getting any buy into this game. It's a 10,000 gold lead at 11 minutes, and they can continue to grow it if they want to take any of these neutral objectives away. Look at the items that Energy can purchase up. They've already got that single monocles, almost there at the double for Chombo. Hardik with the Aftershock has a Storm Crown as well, has those coat of plates for armor against the Ringo. For VIS, it's pretty much done, but they need to fight, they need to make attempts, and this gold miner is going to be their attempt at buying on in. Prime Directive goes through, Marine Force looking for the fight, but Hardik is on the back line. Good night, Ringo. Manages to escape with the Gauntlet, and the gold mine will in fact go to Chombo in the end. A bit of a split fight, they take down Marine Force. Hardik still looking for this kill onto Ringo, and he's very close to getting it for himself. Just 1 second on X-Retsu. Will he dive? Of course he will. And he gets the kill as well. Will lose his life. Unlucky. We'll go to Koisus there. Means that Energy probably can't push in for the win, but they're certainly going to look for Koisus as this Arden is going to fall. Leaves Marine Force Recon to respawn.
That's not an ace.
No, it's not an ace.
They actually were able to drag it out long enough that no ace buff comes in. Not that I really think that the two of them would actually take on that turret. It's just a little bit too healthy. But during all that, yeah, they left themselves open. They didn't know where Hardik was. They don't have any vision here in the jungle. And as soon as Hardik jumped on top of the Ringo, that was it. He was done. He had what he didn't even get the ult on. Like, this boy Funny just had to piece right then and there. It took forever, but during that time, Marine Force Recon went down. The Gold Miner went over to NRG. More cash money as Chombo now basically full build, even with tier 3 boots on top of it here, Dowsy. It might not be over at the 10-minute mark, but this is not far off.
Right, and Koisis has just completed Fountain, 12 minutes and a half. It's
that contraption put him so far behind.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about it with Theorycraft, and Contraption just wasn't the right item. They needed that Fountain, and now Koisis is going to be punished. Looking to get onto the carries. This boy Funny is getting destroyed. Yeah. And the Fountain comes out. It's not enough. A Gauntlet to get him over the wall. It's not even used to defend anything. Hardic doesn't care. Diving on in. Forced Accord pulls both into the fight. And a Quibble to make things ridiculous. Chombo is the laner now. He's going to find his, 10th kill in this game. 20-2, Fame Crystal to 4. GG, well played for Energy.
Some big showboating going on, especially Hardic diving into the fountain area there as well, the base area, maybe the merchant area. There actually is no fountain there. I should probably not call it that, but 20-2 by all things said and done here, Dowsy. I mean, we've had back-to-back pretty one-sided matches, not going to lie, but it does showcase a little bit about why these bigger teams are definitely more favored here in the challenger brackets.
Certainly does, and it's expected as you are in this first round. It's the next couple rounds where the competition really gets going, but man, Dragonborn pulling you back into this, Energy are looking pretty good.
Absolutely, and
absolutely. So I'm gonna toss it back here to Dragonborn, as I do know that we have two sets of matches left to go tonight, I believe.
Yeah, 2 sets of matches. I mean, this one was pretty exciting. I'm really impressed how Energy played. They played really solid from beginning to end, both series. Very aggressive, playing, looking like they're trying to have fun. I think there was a little bit of a mix-up, of course, with Chombo being on the Vox. Chombo is not their, normal lane carry. It's normally Gaspy, but he did phenomenal. I mean, he played really well. So, definitely kind of good to see that this team overall has just a lot of good synergy and plays really, really well together. But yeah, we've got another series coming up here in just a few seconds. As we kind of conclude this one, we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, hopefully we're going to be bringing some pretty exciting matchups. I have to get confirmation on actually which game it is because we have to wait for the results of round 1 to be finalized. Once that's in, though, we will be jumping, and actually we'll be jumping into the first round 2 matchup, Dowsy. So this will be definitely kind of exciting that the skill cap between these teams are starting to shrink as we get into the later rounds. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and I'm sorry I cut you off, man.
No, it's all good, Dragon.
I'm excited. I just realized I had my mic muted, but I was here, I was jumping out of my chair as you said it. It's round 2 when things really start hitting up, and that's where we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into round number 2. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a real quick break.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for the next series, and we're finally moving into round number 2 of this 64-team bracket double elimination, but we're going to be sticking in the winner bracket as we move through. We do have a quick update as it looks like teams are finally starting to trickle through their matches, and so let's take a quick look at that and see anything kind of stands out. Not too many surprises. We do see a few upsets. Team Unity gets upset by Stormguard, and we do see Aquatic NA upsetting Genesis Ghost. But otherwise, so far, all the matches we've got reported in from round 1 seem to be playing out based on seeding pretty consistently. Where we are going to be moving to, though, right now is it's going to be Noble Pro versus Nemesis Titan. That's the next matchup. That one's exciting.
I'm super hyped for this. Like, we saw these guys play recently in the Blitz tournament that happened. A bit of fun, okay? It's not super serious, but these teams came at it super hard. And when you talk about Challenger Series North America, these teams are there in the conversation. So this is exactly the kind of match that we want to see. We want to see which one of these two teams is going to progress further, which one's unfortunately going to have the hard road of the losers bracket. It can really change your Challenger Series journey towards that challenge battle.
I'm just looking at some of the brackets here, Mr. Dragonborn. I mean, like Liberation X up against Stormguard, probably going to be leaning towards Liberation X on that one, but Ardent has moved on as well. They're still waiting for an opponent, but Team Synergy versus Team Task, not entirely too sure how to call that one. We've seen both teams in the past. The Human Torch on Synergy, he's definitely a name that will stick out. But as well, like Team Silly, they're still in the running. I want to say that Team Silly has a second team called Refates because they got some silly members on them. And then, of course, Giraffes and Resurgent. Again, that could go either way. So when it comes down to Tier 2, like Noble Pro and Nemesis Titan, that's actually like a rather huge. Somebody's going to get knocked out here. Whereas, some of these other matches don't really look nearly as close.
Yeah, and Noble Pros definitely, they come into this tournament as the higher seed. They have a chance to really prove that they deserve to be in the discussion for the top 8 teams. When we look at the final playoffs that we're going to be getting to in week number 4, it's going to be the top 8 teams, 4 from the winner, 4 from the loser, and Noble Pro looking to be one of those 8 teams. We talked about there's a lot of good teams in this bracket, but when we look at 8 of them, Noble Pro is close to that. They're in the top 10 or top 12 of the seeding, so they've got a chance to kind of get into that echelon of top 8 teams and at least have a chance to also make it all the way. Some of the matches I think we should keep an eye on. I think you were talking about Synergy versus TAS. Synergy just got confirmed for winning. That one's one I'd like to keep an eye on, and I think really keep an eye on Giraffes versus Resurgence. Giraffes is a really strong team as well, and you really don't want to sleep on that team. That roster, it's a lot of VG Silver players, from what I've been able to gather.
Juan Hernandez, Bradley, and Not Paralyzed.
Yeah, there are some very, very strong. And Not Paralyzed was on Necrolytes when they made their run into the Evil 8, actually. So, keep an eye. That roster is not one to sleep on. I'd say just keep an eye on that. Refates, as we get into the later rounds, is actually a really, really strong team as well. So they're actually going to be contending, across their bracket to try to make it into the top 8. Definitely favorites at this time. But we actually believe that the Noble Pro Nemesis would be one of the closest, most exciting ones to watch at this stage. So we were able to get that kind of scheduled perfectly to be played today. So I actually think this one, the one we're going to stream, is probably one of the most contentious ones in this second round.
So, Supershot, Yazuru, perhaps Synergy to be going in as the starting roster here from Noble Pro. Nemesis Titan has been a brand, but unfortunately, they don't really have any of the players that kind of brought that band up. And this goes a little bit back to what I was talking about earlier on. Gatsby and Hardek, big Nemesis guys. Then Hardek went to Cloud9. Gatsby tried a little bit of a stint there in Evil 8, but unfortunately it didn't really work out by the end. So now they're Liberation X. So Nemesis Titan got 3 brand new names to me. I don't think we've really seen too much in the higher echelons of these guys, but 19 Wolves, Xpod 27, and Zeal are going to be representing Nemesis here.
Yeah, I mean, and so it's kind of funny because some of the members that we actually see on Noble Pro, well, one of the members specifically, Supershot, he was on Nemesis Titan for a long time. You know, he was, he was one of their best players. He did, of course, move over from Nemesis to Noble. I mean, you look at this roster, it's just absolutely a really, really strong. Actually, quick correction on it as I got to make a quick change there. All right, now it's correct. Yeah, there was like an extra name that didn't that shouldn't have been there, so I'm trying to just get that corrected. Yeah, exactly. My bad. For at least from what I was told is so looking at it, definitely a lot of talent on Noble Pro. So a Nemesis Titan just actually sticking with the 3 guys, you know, not coming in here with any subs, saying, all right, we got this. We're gonna make a run, just us 3.
And I personally respect that. I do think that subs play a really big value in competitive play, but maybe as you're trying to build synergy at this Challenger Series level, get to a stage where you're competing at a higher skill tier, then sticking with just 3 people makes a lot of sense. Of course, you don't have that security of a substitute, or perhaps maybe you run 2 different strategies when you have a different substitute come in. But I do think there's a bit of a problem kind of coming in where you have perhaps 6 people on a roster or 5 people on a roster, that you can't have synergy with all 5, at least not at the top, like maybe level of synergy. And for Nemesis Titan, if they're continuously playing together in out every time, you know, perhaps for hours and hours on end, then that really works out for them.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to jump into the game. So, Dalsy, let's get right into it and see what we've got.
Absolutely. It is Noble Pro on your blue side, looking for that Glaive ban or a Lyra, perhaps. Maybe they're going to go for one of the 2. It's a bit of fight for the ban. Go on, throw a Grumpjaw in there. I'm sure the crowd will go wild. No, it will be a Lyra coming through. And Adagio, as expected, so no healing compositions for either of these 2 teams.
Glaive still being suggested as Darok came in there at the end. Synergy is out, Darok is in. I could have sworn Chrissy was on Noble Pro, but there's some talk there in the chat about him not actually representing the team anymore. So it's a very volatile industry sometimes, Dowsy.
Yep, you have to be the best. Or, you know, that's it. You constantly got new people coming up, rising through the ranks. So Glaive locked in here for Noble Pro. Finn countered or picked as that second pick. And I like it. It's a super strong first pick up here for Nemesis Titan.
Well, you might be able to slow down the big guy, but you can't really displace him. You can't stun him out. So, you know, Yasuo coming in with that Glaive, likely we're going to be continuing to see this crown into Aftershock build that has been just, you know, fire ever since, well, even before the preseason invitationals, right? But, you know, Glaive, yeah, he can really do a lot of defensive work for your team. You can go offensive with the anchor. I do love me some good anchors. And, you know, with a Vox behind him, at least, you know, the Vox isn't on the flip side, because that has a history of actually going poorly for Finn.
Look at that. Idris locked in for Noble Pro, getting it in early here for their carry position by the looks of it. That's a very bold pickup for Noble Pro.
Alright, so Idris is not somebody that I have personally seen a lot of. I know that he's been somewhat favored. We had a few games of him over the last few weeks, and of course, we got to see him a little bit in our Blitz tournament that we did with VGL a little bit earlier on. But now with Sky, it feels like Sky's just kind of not hip with it anymore.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, who's going to play? I guess it's a Captain Glaive here. What a weird composition produced by Noble Pro. You're going to have to try and theorycraft this for me as tough as the previous.
It's no Captain Vox, but you know. It's very likely going to be that. If I had to put money on it, mister, it would be that.
Okay, so Glaive, Captain, Sky in that jungle position, and Supershot bringing the Idris to competitive play up against a Vox, Taka, and Finn as we load on to the Halcyon Fold for our first game of this second round of the winners bracket. Team Noble Pro up against Nemesis Titan to kick this one off.
Not entirely too sure how this will swing, but Idris coming in. Looks, at least for now, Super Shot will be out laning, and Yasuo off into the jungle. Double crystals for our skies, so likely not to see a double weapon, likely not to see a double crystal. On the flip, though, of course, Zeal very likely into that weapon, and Xpod, if I had to bet, is again going to see something more akin to what our Glaive is going to be rocking. But this is a support Glaive. This is a captain Glaive with Daruk. He has himself that Iron Guard contract, and we'll have to see really what kind of path he's going to go here.
Yeah, no, it's very curious. One of the Challenger Series teams accidentally played it yesterday in Europe.
Accidentally?
They didn't mean to lock in an alpha. They meant to lock in an adagio. And so they ended up playing Glaive support because they had that alpha. It didn't work out. They were up against a hard opponent anyways. Noble Pro, definitely a team that could rock it, and it seems like they've came into it with this composition in mind. Let's see what Derek can do.
Well, so far he's helped out with the jungle. They were actually able to take down an Elder Treant during a little bit more of a rambling, but Noble Pro, they are going to get shoved in a little bit here in lane. You can already see that they're sort of up against their turret. The turret is coming through and trying to rob some of these last hits from Super Shot, but he's been pretty much on top of them pretty consistently. And every last hit that Super Shot picks up, of course, he has that book to keep him healthy up against some of the spam that Zeal's been throwing at him.
Yeah, no, this lane, it's a very passive lane for Idris. He uses the Chakram to poke, perhaps weaken up the lane so he can last hit it under turret. You want to try and set up the wave perfectly so you don't miss too much as far as CS is concerned. But Super Shot is not having such luck. Currently it's a pretty big CS deficit, 10 at 2 minutes, already built up for Zeal. And that's not what you want. Coming into this one, this Idris needs to try and stay pretty close in the CS, or else he's going to fall behind the curve.
Well, we could go for a 3-man gank, but the problem is that Wolves is going to be able to block quite a bit of the damage coming in, like Exhibit A right here. If Yasuo comes through, all Wolves has to do is just sit there in front of him. Zeal's able to get off some return fire, some nice counter, but past that, yeah, a little bit more of a passive game. Xpod hasn't really been too aggressive out in the jungle. He's more focusing on his numbers here as well, so we'll have to just bide our time a little bit.
Certainly will. It's going to be in for the long con, and that's how you know you've got two well matched up teams here. They're not wanting to give up needless objectives, needless kills, but hey, Super Shot, he's a little bit far forward. Derek able to push Xpod back with an afterburn. That's how that one works. Okay, I'm starting to see it.
Yeah, so for now, again, like earlier on, Derek, unless they're really going to be looking for a kill setup with that afterburn, it's just peel. He's really up here in lane with that Iron Guard just to keep Super Shot, well, I want to say healthy. It's the only kind of health return that he's going to get, and past that, if you're not going to get the last hits, well, that bonus kind of goes through the window.
Yeah, no, it does. You need to be prioritizing them as much as possible. Super Shot starting to claw back a bit of CS in that lane, but look at what Noble Pro are doing. Both moving as a unit, Derek and Yasuo, to try and put the pressure on this Elder Treant about to despawn, so they're going to take it for the last time, make sure that they're optimizing efficiency in the jungle. It's good stuff. And we go back to this farm game here, forecourt. Both teams going to look to try and build up leads, purchase items now. The jungle shop is on the map. You can currently see Xpod moving on in as well.
Yeah, so again, bide your time, no problem. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. It's something I do like to say in Vainglory, and it holds true here. Nemesis Titan are accruing a little bit of advantage, a little bit at a time, and over the course of the game, if Noble Pro don't break out of that kind of tempo, then Nemesis Titan are just well on their way to victory.
Absolutely. With the Idris probably not being able to output as much damage in the late game as a Vox unless he gets some amazing positioning or Zeal gets completely chunked out. There is that ticking time bomb that Noble Pro are playing with, and Yasuo is going to have to really make this guy hurt. Death from Above just unlocked. Expect for it to come out in just a second as he locks in onto one of the targets. That's a lot of damage coming forward, and this is exactly what Noble Pro need to be doing. Consistent damage, consistently looking to put the hurt down. Death from above onto Wolves. Can they get the kill? Yes, they can. First blood goes to Daruk, and Noble Pro are the first to get themselves on the board.
Wolves has really been abusing his gigantic health pool in taking a hit after hit after hit, but if he does not make that retreat, that rotation out, yeah, he can actually be prone to some damage. So Noble Pro breaking the cycle a little bit, finally push back. They're actually going to take now a gold lead because of it. Yazaru is going to get really aggressive. They'll take those backs, no problem. Now we know that, of course, there's a Taka on the flip side equalizing out the farm. This will be an interesting collapse coming in.
Yeah, Supershot has just purchased up a Serpent's Mask. It's a bit of an odd build, but we'll have to see how it plays out. A little bit unconventional from the norm. Xpod, though, he's having a bit of trouble. Has to go stealth, but gonna walk over a scout trap. There's the flare, and he is done so. Polite company to lay down the fortified health, but there's no escaping a Suri strike, and that will be Yazaru finding the second kill for the team. Missed positions, and it's not over yet. Zeal just about escapes the death from above as Wolf's doing his best to body block the damage, but they're just going to turn their focus onto this Finn, start tanking him down as well. Noble Pro looking pretty good.
So far, so good. Yeah, 2-0. Might have been suffering a bit earlier on, but Supershot now actually leading in last hits. Got that little bit of extra power boost, got a little bit of attack speed. Now, a bit better of the attack speed as he upgrades his tiny little pea shooter up to that blazing salvo. But yeah, the Serpent's Mask is a little bit more of a stranger build. What would you have expected as kind of a first item for Supershot?
Either a Sora Blade to unlock the divergent paths, or possibly even go straight into the breaking point. Usually that's the case as an Idris. You're looking to try and unlock divergent paths as soon as possible. Double, Blade and a Six Sins does the trick. But Serpent's Mask, I can see it working. That's one thing that a lot of weapon power melee heroes do go for, is the Serpent's Mask for that sustained healing. Xpod diving on in is just going to have it turned on him. That's so much damage, fountain forced. And they're struggling to do burst damage against this glaive, who can just reposition them, knock them, stun them as soon as they go in.
Well, we've already actually used Super Shot and that Shimmer Strike as well. You can see the return damage adding up.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Making sure that they go for it. Xpod once more in, and he gets the X-Retsu on to Supershot, gets a kill. Woo-hoo! It is returned, and Force Accord pulls Durek back in. They're not going to be able to take down that kitty cat. Now both teams very low on HP, going to just fall back, not look to push their advantage anymore.
Well, if we can actually push in this wave, it's a little bit more of a denial. Zeo has actually been picking up those last hits and has kind of taken over Supershot when it comes to the numbers once more. But Derek, he can kind of just stay out and about. He does not really have to go home. He has the Fountain of Renewal in his pocket. You can see his health just again continuing to climb and climb and climb. And now at the same time, Yazaru, he's just going to be able to push forward here as well. Zeal was able to get the Treant, but now everybody's kind of regrouping, and we'll have to see where they go from here.
Certainly will. It's Nemesis showing their hand, showing that they have the ability to blow up a member of Noble Pro if one of the members do overstep, get a little bit overzealous. And look at Supershot, he is the target, continuously going in onto this Idris. Death from above going to create a wall that they cannot cross. Fountain going to help this Idris start to heal back up, as well as those Book of Eulogies, the Iron Guard contract to get a bit of health. Does allow for sustain, this Shimmer Strike available, but Xpod's not done. He's continuously aggressing forward, looking to lay down hurt and poke out with that X-Retsu.
So we still have a bit of a gold lead accrued here from Noble, although opting to, again, just stay a little bit closer to home this round. They're turned down about half. Can't really say the same for Nemesis Titan. Theirs is actually still sitting pretty healthy, but Boots to come out here for Wolves, that's actually going to be a very big engage tool, and he's going to come right back up to lane, and Noble's going to be cut short on their aggression.
Yeah, and the Crucible not quite up. 2-1. Okay, it's there. If Wolves knew that cooldown was not there, then that could have been an engage possible for Nemesis Titan. You have to keep track of those cooldowns, guys, if you want to find every advantage possible. Now with that Crucible up, there is the opportunity for Daruk to block it on out, because there are no reflex blocks on the 2 carries.
There's the breaking point that you were looking for here from Super Shot, so some good attack speed to come into that, and hopefully with the real big dependence on the melee and the scuffling here from Noble Pro, we're going to get some stacks that actually matter throughout the next few fights.
Certainly, it needs to get in on the fight, maybe stack up on Finn, super slow target, as long as it's not too priority. There it is, Forced Accord blocked on up, and Daruk gonna knock this Taka straight on in, Shrimmer Strike straight in, damage going back and forth, but this Idris taking a beating, Zil looking for the kill, and he will find it now, turning their attention to Daruk, who dives on in, knocks the Vox under turret, but it's not enough. Zil finds the kill on out. Yasuru all by himself under the turret, has to try and defend it. Zil very low, but it doesn't matter. Look at Xpod there. Oh, great series strike, trades the kill, but it's a 3-for-1, and it's going to be the turret as well. 11 minutes, and Nemesis Titan, that ticking time bomb you talked about, forecourt, maybe it just exploded.
Well, the turret definitely exploded into a million pieces. Super Shot went down almost like without a fight. He's going to have to start investing in some defense if he wants to start looking for some of these dives, because diving up against a Finn comp is definitely risky at best, and not having really like a supporty kind of captain is really starting to show a little bit of trouble up against the support master that is 19 Wolves and this Finn. So it really does feel like we have to look for some burst kills from Noble Pro. They need to start getting some burst damage in and get a pick earlier in the fights rather than later, because this level of sustain between the two is kind of unparalleled right now. Nemesis Titan, hands down, will take a long con fight.
Yeah, Super Shot needs to be landing those chakrams. If you can poke out priority targets, that's great. There's so much healing though, and the reinforced health means that the burst makes things super hard with the polite company. Noble Pro, they need to find an in here, but currently Nemesis Titan want to take control of the jungle. This gold mine looking so tasty, and they're going to start it up. That Storm Storm Crown for Xpod means that they take it super quickly, and it's not even going to get contested here. Noble Pro didn't know it was happening, and when they did work it out, it was too late. 300 gold each, the immense gold payout. And now Nemesis Titan, they pull ahead 1,000 gold.
Yep, 1,000 gold, and perhaps a fight coming their way. Zeal, you can see, gets a few shots off. Xpod has done pretty phenomenal for himself. If you take everything into consideration, right, the gold doesn't really look that favorable to him, but they are overall ahead still. So Xpod, he has basically 3 items. If he goes diving and gets this Atlas off on top of Super Shot, even you could arguably say that landing on top of Derok is even going to be worth it there as well. But if Xpod jumps Super Shot, and that's so far what they've been doing, he gets not only that burst damage done with that crown of his with the aftershock, he has an Atlas Pauldron on top of that. Super Shot's damage takes a big dive after that happens.
And this is where the Shimmer Strike can be really great for Super Shot. If he dives on in to offensively or even defensively into an ally, then he can avoid a lot of that burst damage from Taka, and then they can look to try and return it. It's all about timing, and it's all about positioning for Noble Pro. Super Shot's going to have to build the shield, and you can see him investing into it. But late game, this Taka is still going to lay down a lot of hurt. There it is. Good Atlas Pauldron, 3 infusions purchased, so it looks like Noble Pro want to fight, and they're going straight on in. Xpod the target, Shimmer Strike straight onto this Taka. Offensive players, what they need, and Xpod, he's going low, and he will fall as well. Zeal, the next target, trying to find a return kill, nice. But he gets knocked up against the wall, and Super Shot going to find the double. Offensive play from Noble Pro, working on out, and it is going to be the ace as well for them, as the weapon infused, the crystal infuses, so much power just immediately dished out.
That was probably the best timing, the best result that Noble Pro could have asked for right there. That fight happened, and 19 Wolves just nowhere near the front line. They're able to get that pick. They're finally able to use their comp to get that burst damage through. And then we even had Derok and another Afterburn at the end to seal the deal for kill number 2. That left 19 Wolves defend for himself. And unfortunately, he's big, he's slow. He might be hard to take down, but 3v1 at that point it's not really going to be too much of a trouble here for Noble. So really big swing for them right there. You know, might only be 1,000 gold difference between the teams, but taking away that safety net is definitely a blow to the Nemesis Titan team.
It is, and Noble Pro able to execute, like you said, is crucial for their chances of staying in the game and continuing to keep the pressure up. Now Nemesis Titan, they have to watch their step. They need to make sure they're working as a unit, putting down the vision together. They can't afford to split up, or else the same thing is going to happen. Now the Kraken, she's on the fold. Now a bit of pressure around the jungle. Zeal goes very far forward, but look at where 19 Wolves is in the base. They don't necessarily know this, and so they aren't going to go aggressive. But hey, Xpod, he's gone on in. He's getting taken on down, and there's no support to help on out. Good night, Xpod. Miscommunication. Didn't know where his support was, and those are the kind of moves that can throw a game.
Well, I can't really say anything against that there, Dowsy, because now 2v3, you got a good chance at really just taking ahead here.
Yeah, look at 19 Wolves getting melted on down. He will fall in the end. In fact, they're turning their attention to Zeal as well. They want the cake and they want the cherry on top as well. Whoa! And it looks like 19 Wolves going to pull him back on in. Oh my goodness! The sentry comes up huge. They will find the return kill nonetheless, as Daruk going to dive on forward. A bit of cheeky stuff there from 19 Wolves to take one with him. If I'm going down, you're coming with me.
I didn't get to see how the other kill happened, but I totally got to see 19 Wolves really just putting Yazru in place. We had the root go out from the Treant, and as Yazru was trying to make an exit, he got pulled back in and got taken down by the sentry. It was pretty fantastic.
Certainly do. Now Xpod once more caught out. Super Shot able to lay down so much damage when he has Daruk by his side. And Xpod is looking a little bit confused. Ooh. Yeah, he might be able to escape here. Some cheeky moves from the ninja, but it seems like in the last 5 minutes, Xpod has just come to a sudden realization that he's not on top anymore. He cannot no longer make the aggressive, bold plays he's been making. And I want to see Xpod start to learn from the mistakes that have been his attempts at starting a fight.
So things have definitely gone downhill for Nemesis Titan, and a big thing is that 19 Wolves just not really on the front line when these fights have occurred. The last few scuffles, he's either been absent or just too far back and hasn't really been able to anchor for this team, and we'll have to see if that changes this round.
Yeah, we will, as it's going to be another fight around the jungle. Ooh. 19 Wolves going to pull the mic on in, but currently Zeal trying to run away from Super Shot, is getting the distance between, but Super Shot's diving forward, looking for the kill, and they will find it. Xpod did take down this guy, and look at the health bar on Super Shot. Daruk going to push them away, so it's going to be Crystal Sentry, the prize here for Nemesis Titan. Daruk needs to get away from Xpod here. Cannot afford to go down as well under the turret, so should be safe. A bit of an interesting fight there. Very split, and Nemesis Titan going to come out on top realistically.
Still anybody's game at this point here, my friend. Might be a little bit more of a cash advantage over to Noble, but they only got a 1-for-1 trade. Wolves is going to get visited by Super Shot.
And look at him stacking up those breaking point stacks, looking for the fight here. Xpod taking a bit of damage. Daruk not quite in position to afterburn someone backwards, so it is going to be Xpod escaping with his life this time. But at 18.5 minutes, the fights start to become a little bit more intense. At any point, one team could throw it, and actually Zeal pushed really far up, is going to take a lot of hurt. Death from above to come forward, won't lock anyone up. Xpod dives on it, now they're looking to turn it. Zeal with the kill, wait for it, just keeping everyone silent, and it doesn't look like anyone is going to escape with their lives. Super Shot the next target, they turn to Daruk, who's trying his best to find Zeal in return, but he will not be able to. Xpod with a double kill, a shutdown and an ace, and now the Kraken will be Nemesis Titan to take.
This is the longest match we've had, and still going neck and neck. With the Kraken coming through, and we're pushing up on that top with Zeal and the Ace Buff minions. You're going to be looking at just the Vein Crystal and its 2 turrets, and possibly even one of those going down. But this is a really good turn. Nemesis Titan, they're able to put on that early game pressure, kind of fell apart a bit in the mid with 19 Wolves and some positioning errors, but now that he's kind of just there, you can see the power is really defeating the big burst potential of Noble Pro and their team comp.
And Noble Pro, they attempted to get onto the backline, blow Zeal up, but then they overcommitted when they failed to do it instantly, and that's kind of where Noble Pro kind of has to take the hint that they're not going to find a fight. This time though, Zeal is getting engaged on the super shot right on the backline. As Xpod going to go onto this Sky, but it doesn't look like Zeal's going to escape this time. He goes down, and now they're looking to try and turn the fight onto Xpod, onto 19 Wolves. Xpod escapes. 19 Wolves doing his best to get away, but it's not going to happen here. Can Xpod find a return kill? This Kraken onto the anchor turret. He's doing his best to lay down the damage, but it's exactly what Noble Pro needed in this scenario.
If Xpod kept going in, really all he is at that point is a distraction, just trying to buy more time here for the Kraken. But Kraken, honestly, even after this choke turret, it's not going to get too much else. So backing off, denying the ace, definitely a better, safer move. Xpod will take down this Crystal Sentry. He's already cleaned out some of this jungle as well. There's only one life left on that Sentry as well.
Yeah, and those crystal sentries at this late game point for court just start hitting a truckload. If a fight was to break out around one, you're going to see how much damage can be unleashed by that crystal sentry. So Nemesis Titan looking to try and remove it from the fight before a fight breaks out. 21 minutes, 13-9, the gold neck even here for these guys, and it's anyone's game. It's really a better team going to win the fight.
So Darok is not exactly going into damage, but he has himself that banner looking into the crown probably as quick as he can. And if this game can go long enough and Darok can really spare the slot to pick up that the aftershock to go with his afterburn, like he's actually going to be able to do some pretty decent bursts, especially up against that Finn with the percentage damage coming into it. But that aside, quite a few items actually out and about. 3 items here on this Crystal Sky. We're sitting on 1 monocle and an Atlas Pauldron of Super Shot by himself there as well. Darok sitting on 3+ boots, and this is pretty much the same kind of notes here for Nemesis Titan. If they find an anchor over the wall, this could actually be a pretty fantastic position for them.
And it's curious that Zeal has opted to go for a Sora Blade rather than a double Tyrant's Breaking Point. It seems to be the optimal build, mostly for Vox here. So we'll have to see how that one does affect this late game. Both these teams are currently posturing around the mid, looking to play down a bit of poke damage. But Xpod wants in. There's wait for it, looking for the gauge. It's huge damage bursted already, and the Force Accord will get blocked away. Nemesis Pro, a Noble Titan, trying to escape this one. But Xpod says no. Here's that Crystal Sentry starting to lay down the hurt as everyone is in for the fight. Xpod goes on, Daruk goes low, Death from above goes out. It's a good amount of damage for being blocked up, and Yazru will fall. Double for this Taka and the Sentry to be eliminated as well. Crazy stuff and great burst straight away from Nemesis Titan.
Unless we can really see some kind of big miracle coming out of Super Shot, this is going to be a Kraken coming through, and this could actually be the end of game 1, as it will be favoring Nemesis Titan after this Kraken comes through. 23 minutes and counting. Definitely one of the longer games that we've seen tonight, but again, like, the items pretty neck and neck. The gold is actually still within about 1,000 of each other. If the Kraken can't get work done, or if Nemesis get aced before they can actually even push with this Kraken, we still have a chance to rebuff and come back here from Noble.
Yeah, certainly will. It's close, but it's not over yet. We're going to see the infusions come out for Nemesis Titan here. Just the single weapon infuse on that Idris. We'll have to see if the rest of the team pick one up. Actually, it's Crystal for Daruk and Yazru as well. So this is where it comes down to. Last time Kraken was unleashed, Noble Pro were able to find a kill. Yep, Wolves is pushed right on up. The rest of his team's not with him, but Noble Pro not going to notice, not going to be able to find a fight. Daruk after burns a Finn, but you can't do that. Xpod now going to dive on in. They're looking for Zeal here, trying to get onto the back line, but Zeal's able to get away for now. doing the work. Fountain goes out, Super Shot not able to find the killing blow, and he will be the first to fall. Now it's going to be turned straight onto Yazaru here, who's trying his best to escape X-Pod, but it's just not enough. Zeal finds Glaive, and it's an ace coming through. The Kraken already taken one of these crystal turrets to town, and game 1 of this series, it goes to Nemesis Titan.
We said that this would be close. Of the round 2 matches, having both these orgs going head-to-head, somebody's going to have to take the long road home as they go in the bracket, but we're not quite there yet. This is only game 1 here at Dowsy, but neck and neck the whole way through. Even at the end of it all, it's still, 2,000 gold between teams. Could have been a whole nother story if we were able to really just bring some sustain to the team. Like Noble Pro with his Glaive, I feel like you kind of got to abuse that a bit earlier on, and they just couldn't find angles up against Wolves, who almost had, perfect positioning. A little bit shaky there in the mid game where he wasn't there for a few fights, and you saw the evidence of his lack of presence. But past that, once they were able to just regroup around the big guy, it was easy peasy for them, Dowsy.
Man, what a great game that was, Dragonborn. I hope you were watching with an eagle eye. Both this game, it lived up to the hype here. Nemesis Titan Noble Pro, we knew it was going to be a good game, but up until the last couple of minutes, it could have gone any way.
Insanely close. This matchup, I think, is going to really go the distance. I'd love to see our first game 3 here on stream this week. It would be really exciting as these two teams going at it. And I think the real surprise here was the sustain and just the overall positioning we saw in those late game team fights by Nemesis. They played very, very well, looking to try to take out the Sky as quickly as possible. Once he was able to take him out, once they were able to limit the effect that Darrell could do on that Glaive, it just was huge difference swing, because we saw for a good chunk of that Noble Pro in the mid game really started to turn it up and actually come back into that match. So absolutely really exciting matchup. We're going to be getting into the second one, game number 2 here in just a second. I actually think they're almost ready to go as we flip sides. So we really aren't going to take too much time here to wait, as that was actually shaping up to be a pretty long game, and this could be a pretty long series as well.
Honestly, I would not be against at all having this to go the whole distance. And just, again, Noble Pro, a bigger brand, I want to say, but Nemesis have found themselves a really good squad, I gotta say. 19 Wolves, X-Pod, Zeal might not have been names that I recognized before this, but if they make it all the way top 3, I'm sure that they're going to pick up a whole load of fans.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, these are names that have been a part of the Nemesis family, but not part of their high-ranking competitive teams for some time. And, with a lot of those players from Nemesis moving on to other orgs and other teams, it's only befitting these guys would come in here and fill those shoes. And so far, they're doing really well. I was looking at the chat in-game, and one of the players, they're actually driving on the freeway right now. They're not driving themselves, but they're a passenger.
I don't understand how that's even working. Like, he's playing in a car?
Yeah, he's playing. They stopped at a gas station. Yeah. And the thing about it is it's if you can keep that LTE signal up, you can play. But, you're going in and out of signal strengths. It's really tough. But that's kind of the allure of Vainglory. What makes this game so incredible is that you can play it anywhere competitively, any place, and have a shot. Obviously, that's on the side of Noble Pro. They didn't win. I don't know if that's partly to blame. We'll see as they look to try to get some stable connections and get into game number 2. But, they move down to the loser bracket. It doesn't kick them out of the tournament, and actually gives them a chance to just recoup for the week and play again next week. So losing this series isn't a huge deal in the sense that you can still make it back in.
Dowsy, have you ever played with an Etch-a-Sketch before?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, well, try doing that, but then in a moving. You guys still have precision after that. It's
okay. Well, they have pulled over, so it's not quite the moving vehicle, from what I understand. They're on the side. Right. Currently, actually, what they're doing is driving from the hard shoulder that they were sitting on the freeway to a gas station, so that they can be a little bit more safe, a little bit less distracted by the passing traffic. So that's currently the situation here for Noble Pro here, Dragonborn.
Yeah, and an interesting one indeed. Kind of puts them in a tough spot. But hey, they showed up to play, and they're here. They definitely made it really close. So we'll see how game 2. I think, you take a look at how the draft played out. You have a Taka going into a Sky. It can be really challenging to make that work. So I think from the drafting perspective, Nemesis did get some advantages that they were able to take advantage of, even though we had the support glaive over on the side of Noble Pro. I mean, it's a strong pick. It's a flex pick that can be very useful. It allows you to get in and engage, and with the Sky, that's really what you want to be doing. But, Taka can get behind you, get to the back line, and take that Sky out, which is the challenge. So that's something that I think Noble Pro, they need to take a look at when they start this draft for game number 2. How do they deal with the counter pick of when you pick up a Sky, going up against potentially a Taka in that way, and playing it effectively? You could play into a Taka fine. So obviously there's some other issues going on mechanically.
He's flooring it to get to the gas station. Like this is real, right? This isn't a meme that I missed or something.
No, this is actually happening. Noble Pro are playing from a car. Mobile esports, man. We're in a new generation. 4G it's better than most people's internet. So I hear.
I'm old now, Dowsy.
You are older. Let's just stop there.
But if I was going to go into a tournament match for something that could determine my Vainglory future for possibly the rest of the year, I'd probably opt to stay at home to play it.
Okay, so they did say that they got a bit confused. They misread the time that the match would be played, so they thought they had another hour, I believe. So there are a couple of errors happening there. Management errors that can be fixed moving forward.
Right.
But I don't feel like they played terribly considering their current position. They came into the game. They played their team's draft to its win conditions as best.
Yeah, not at all. It was pretty good.
So hey, tablets.
All right,
phones,
so it looks like the team could use a few more minutes, guys. So we're going to take a quick break, a very, very short commercial break. Of course, when we come back, we're going to be getting right into game number 2 here, as these players look to kind of get into position where they can at least get some stable connection to start this game. So it'll be about 30 seconds here before we get started, and we're going to take a quick ad break. So don't go anywhere, everybody. We'll be right back.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
All right, we're ready, everybody. We're back, and we're ready to get into this match. It looks like everyone's set as Noble Pro fixing some of the connection issues, making sure they're ready to get into this. So without further ado, Dalsy, let's take it into the draft, see what we got.
Right, so it is Nemesis Titan switching to the blue side, Noble Pro on that red side. They pulled over at a gas station ready to get back into this series here for court. Lyra going to be our first ban, and an Adagio once more, so it's the exact same from the first game. And now I want to see what Nemesis Titan prioritize coming into this.
I have it on something of an authority that they're playing mobile esports at the Mobile One gas station. So
no way.
We'll see. We'll see how this one goes. Hopefully the connections are going to stay up and stable. But no Lyra, no Adagio, just like what we saw before. And in fact, we're kind of going still pretty even throughout this one. No support glaive or no captain glaive this round. Will be that Arden coming in here for Zeal. But Yazuru is able to kind of do what Nemesis Titan did last round. They pick up not only that Finn, but the Vox in the same order.
Yeah, they do, and this has been kind of the staple of Roadside. They pick Finn, they pick Vox, they look to try and take the win. I wonder if Nemesis Titan have something different up their sleeves. Looks like they do. Glaive, Ringo, and Arden. Ooh, that's exciting stuff. You can already see the combos coming through for this team.
So Wolves, if they are going to stick with those same roles, he's actually going to be this Arden, and we'll have X-Pod on top of this Glaive. But what do you do in response to that? Well, you already got that Finn as your cornerstone defensive, right? You got to get that armor, you're going to get the reinforced, plus you got that dangerous. Nope, it's going to be Ataka, because hey, if you can beat us with it, well, now it's time to show that we can beat you with it as well.
So yeah, Noble Pro is like, hey guys, we just saw this really cool team competition that we thought we might try out in competitive play. It's this Finn, Vox, Taco. Don't know if you've heard of it, Nemesis Titan. Of course, a bit of a joke. They have stolen the team comp away. It seems to be a pretty strong one. I've seen this multiple times over the last couple of days in Challenger Series. Every team seems to want to run it. So no surprise, Noble Pro also going to try their hands at it. Guys, this is game 2 of this Winners Bracket Series between Nemesis Titan and Noble Pro. Nemesis Titan 1-0 in this series. So for Noble Pro to remain in the Winners Bracket, first they have to take down Nemesis Titan in this game.
And it could be a little bit of a tall order, right? Nemesis Titan taking home game number 1. The advantage that we have this time for Noble Pro is they're finally actually stopped, and they can finally focus on their thumbs here rather than bouncing around in the back of a convertible. So we'll have to see which one will actually come out for this, but not really a lot of aggression here right out the gate.
No, and I don't expect there to be too much forced aggression here. Both teams, like the previous game, they just want to play the early game safe, right? Make sure that they don't give away unnecessary leads. They can start to influence the game through better rotations as the game starts to scale up.
Alright, so Nemesis Titan, they're going to be feeling a little bit more of this pressure early on. Darok and X-Pod are just going to trade back and forth, at least for now. And if I had to bet, X-Pod probably is going to continue on into the weapon. We should probably see Zeal picking up into the banner, into that Aftershock here fairly soon. And it's probably more the same here as well for Noble Pro. You're going to see that weapon lane and the same sort of build from Super Shot, at least early on.
So I want to grab your thoughts on this. It seems to be fairly common that teams are fairly comfortable playing multiple roles. X-Pod switching to lane, Zeal switching to the jungle as he looks to put a bit of pressure onto Supershot here, who's switched to the jungle. Yazuru switching to roam, Derek now in the lane. Like, everyone's all over the place.
You're not going to see a lot of that in VG8, I don't feel, but having that flexibility can, get you a net advantage by the end of the day. If you see a pick and you think it's for somebody and you don't think it's very good for them, but then somebody else plays it and they're fantastic at it, well, you gave it away for free.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It makes sense. Look at this, Super Shot going in, looking for that first blood. Can he get it? Yes, he can. And he's not going to get away, unfortunately. He has to sit away. But first blood, it's a bonus amount of gold. It's always worth when you can get it. That's a great start for Noble Pro.
Yeah, the first blood, but they did trade it away. The kind of dampener on this trade is that Zeal was able to get that jungle and now pushing Darok into that turret.
Oh, Daruk looks very, very... low there, but is going to be able to get away by the looks of it. X-Pod just not quite able to dish out the damage necessary to follow up that trade. And so it is just going to be that 1-for-1 net gold in the lead for Noble Pro.
Alright, so yeah, it's still pretty neck and neck. I wouldn't read too much into either side. Some decent last hitting to come through, though. Looking at 22 from X-Pod. Darok here, 19, so not that bad. Super Shot into the jungle, just like you were talking about, right, with that lane swap. We'll have to see how that actually works out here. But X-Pod, in lane with that Ringo as well. It does come down to a little bit of the mind games, but ultimately, again, if you know that role very well, then you know how to counter that role very well. So I like the flexibility.
It's an interesting one. Being a man who's come from other esports titles, it does.
You don't see it
right with me. No, you don't see it very often. And so perhaps it's something that is very Vainglory specific, and that's great. I do think that you probably won't see it very often from the top tier of Vainglory teams.
You won't. No. History is kind of on your side with that opinion. And yeah, I've been through my gauntlet here of other competitive titles, and no, you don't get to see it a lot, but I do think it does have a place here in Vainglory. The game is flexible enough that you can get really interested in a lot of different roles, and look at like famous multi-classers like Cole the Meek, right? He started off in one role, has now transitioned through I think pretty much all three of them in competitive settings. I do believe he's the roam currently for his team now, but again, like the more you know this game, the better your decision making can be. So I do applaud teams that can actually kind of pull this off.
Yeah, no, there's definitely merit to being able to play every role to a high tier so that you can understand how it works, where you can look to counter it a bit. Both these teams going at it in the lane. Damage currently being won out by Nemesis Titan here. Zaruk, Yazuru going to head down to this jungle shop, purchase up. Let's see what they do get. It's a breaking point first for Daruk. Going to be building towards a Tyrant's Monocle next, so I'm expecting a double Tyrants from Daruk going into this game.
Lots of flares, lots of scout traps, very defensive traps to be coming out here from Yazuru as well. You can see it pretty much straight line down the mid, a little bit more towards their side, but there's not going to be any kind of invade that they don't know about at this point. Now, they also got their shopping done just a bit earlier. Zeal, you can see, is going to match that crown, so both the junglers are getting ramped up on that.
Look at the super shot going in, but Zeal's able to trade it back. Super shot has to get away. It's this Tarka versus Glaive this time, however. Zeal, he's that jungle Glaive. He's going to be dishing out the damage. It's not just going to be supportive items, and a lot of damage coming out already. X-Pod onto Daruk. Daruk just not having a fun time in lane.
It's, well, compared to some of the previous matches, yeah, it's a much slower go, but now X-Pod is getting collapsed on.
Look at that, Daruk goes very low, but X-Pod, as you said, also collapsed on. Super Shot is the target, but he's getting away on a sliver of HP. Going to escape from that one, and this is where the teams just go, okay, reset. Nemesis Titan really want to kill, and Daruk is very vulnerable under this turret as the hiccups start. Wow, where did they come from?
Well, no deaths either side, as you did say, a little bit more of a reset to come through. Super Shot has a little bit of a crystal bit, so that goes a little bit farther for his healing, but overall, kind of just sticking around. He's just going to be really depending on these trains to get back into fighting shape. And so X-Pod, with his first item, ended up going into the Sora Blade. Of course, Derek, we did see picked up that breaking point before the fights did start. Now he's going to be looking for those monocles, whereas not entirely too sure where X-Pod wants to go after this. We used to see a lot of armor penetration back in the day, but it seems to have fallen a little bit more out of favor these rounds.
Yeah, I'm expecting breaking point, and then into Tyrant's Monocle, matching the crit. Probably not a double crit monocle. It's a little bit too risky. You kind of need a bit of defense when you're playing against some of these hot shots, as Super Shot would dive on to you. It's just going to do a lot of damage.
If it was going to be X-Pod rushing into... 19 Wolves kind of just sticking around his turret. If he was going to be rushing into that breaking point, it'd probably see the 6 Sins instead of that heavy steel. So, again, it still could be. Maybe he just wants that heavy steel now, get that little bit of extra oomph, build into it a bit after that. Not entirely too sure. We've been surprised by our builds before. But as we do take a pause, because I don't believe that 19 Wolves is currently with us in spirit, it's just a very slow and steady game. There's nothing wrong with that. Both teams looking for footing, especially for Noble Pro. If they go a little bit too hasty into something, they could find themselves at the end of a 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. It's anyone's game at this stage, and it was anyone's game for quite some time in Game 1 as well. It was going back and forth. Nemesis Titan always kind of had a foot in it, but Noble Pro were certainly trying to loosen it up, kick bit of a fit up. So I'm really excited to see where this game goes, because we haven't quite seen any big conclusions from either of these two teams as far as the fights are going to go, as far as the laning is concerned. So whilst we wait for 19 Wolves to reset in this game, I'm looking to these junglers to try and find an opening and to try and open up the game wide open. How many times can you say open in one sentence? Go on, try it, Fourcourt.
Well, there's one definition of open that, at least that I can think of, so I'm not going to take that challenge because I don't think I can really get super creative with it. Nice try, though. Nice try. We'll have to see if Wolves are back here as we open up into the next round.
Yep, and he is, so that's all good. And nothing lost in that instance. Now for both these teams, minion candy going to be purchased up. Interesting, the minion candies. I talk to me. Where do you think Noble Pro are going to go with this?
So the minion candies you can really do for some pretty good pressure, to be honest. Like in a team fight, maybe not so much, but we'll have to see after this.
Yeah, wow, Daruk just gets engaged on, and he's going to be considering where Zil came from. It was almost instant. I was caught out by it. I'll throw you into an awkward scenario. I do apologize. Noble Pro now doing their best to try and hold the fort. Good quibble. Damage going down. And it's enough for Nemesis Titan not to want to try and push the turret any further.
Right, so the candies can be very useful. If they had won the fight with that giant creep wave, might have been worth discussing. But for now, I think he's just going to... I want to say he wanted to hold on to him, but he's kind of actually given them out like it was Halloween. But either way, if you get a nice push going, you can get those minions sort of kind of buffed up, and you get yourself a nice push on top of that turret. It can really start bringing it down very quickly. It really helps to push the wave. It can keep your opponents occupied, but more importantly, you can also use it to deny last hits. You can use it to put up some pressure. It's not something I would have expected to see about the 9-minute mark unless you thought that there was an incoming advantage.
Yeah, and perhaps Noble Pro wanted it, and they're just a second behind as Zil was able to get in first. Now, it's 2-1. There's a kill on Zil. Going to be feeling pretty happy. Storm, Crown, and that Aftershock to really start to hammer home the damage. And we're currently waiting. Noble Pro, they want to stall this one out, wait for that second Tyrant Monocles to be completed on this box. But it does mean that Nemesis Titan have an opportunity now to start laying down hurt onto this turret and trying to press their advantage that they currently have.
All right, Yazra's going to bring some more candy out, but if a team fight does break out, they really got to win it if they want to make use of it. They do got that flare going through, so they do know that this bush, there's nothing really to, kind of impede Noble Pro going through. Super Shot's going to be very safe in his stealth, and they're just looking for an angle here.
They certainly are, but Daruk is going to be locked up against the wall. Here comes the brew, and it burns away Fountain to keep everyone on Nemesis Titan healthy, and a good gauntlet locks up that Tucker as well. Trying his best to find an angle, and he's going to go straight on in to X-Pod, and it gets pulled in for the kill. Now they can try and turn this. Zil, he goes low. Here comes Tucker. It's a double kill here for Noble Pro. X-Retsu on to 19 Wolves. And that was very surprising, able to turn that around for a 2-for-1.
Slippery Takas. Again, like he gets those cooldowns off that rotation, and he can really put out that burst. And again, Yazaru, this Finn, king of the defense, the longer that these games go on, the longer that these fights go on, the harder it is to burst down Noble Pro. So they might take the 2 kills. Don't know if they're going to get this gold mine.
Wow. Gets secured by Noble Pro. 19 Wolves not quite able to take it away, and he is going to go down here. Zil tries his best to push someone away, but there were so many targets on the pursuit there. Noble Pro, off that 2 kills, able to get a huge advantage. They make it, the gold mine. They're looking for the turret here, and there's not much X-Pod can do to stop them. He's doing his best to land the auto attacks and take the CS whilst he's at it, but Noble Pro, they're starting to storm.
So, a little bit of a defensive twist of things here for X-Pod. He's gone into the Slumbering Husk. Now, that gives you some good max hit points, but it's really the passive that he's trying to use to counter out the burst that Super Shot's really starting to deliver, right? If he takes more than 20% of his hit points in over 1.5 seconds, which is going to happen with Ataka. Like, the Aftershock by itself is 15%. He's going to gain some fortified health. He's going to gain himself 20, or not 20%, but he does gain fortified health for his trouble. So that will go a long way for survivability.
And look at this, they're just going straight on in. Xpod stands no chance. Off the fold immediately. Now looking for Zil here, as I don't think he's going to get away from it either. Oh, just about afterburns at the last second. But that does mean that this turret, not long for the world, gets taken on down. 5-3 now, and a 3,000 gold lead. Make it 4,000 in just a second. Noble Pro, they've lost the first game of this series, but they do not want to go down without a fight.
No, they're just starting to finally get into their own. They've recruited a pretty decent gold lead with a sentry being added on top of that. They're going to steal out this jungle, no problem. And Wolves, well, he can nip at their heels, but there's nothing really for him to sink his teeth into. Xpod now trailing him, as well as Zeal. If they're looking for a fight, they are just way too strung out for it. And we just picked up that double monocle here from Daryl. So he's going to be hitting that much harder here, Dowsy, and this is starting to look really good for Noble. They've taken their time, and they did this one, slow and steady, but they might win the race after all.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna just turtle its way up into the base. All Tortoise, I guess it depends on your region. Tortoise makes more sense. I don't know why you would have a turtle racing a hare. I'll take it all back.
Just
now for this fight, 19 Wolves in trouble. Gets engaged on by Super Shot. Zeal on the back line trying to find Daruk here. And Daruk is being taken low, but low enough. Found to keep Afterburn alive, and Zeal knocks Daruk to his death. Will fall by the looks of it to the mortal wounds, but can they find any more? It's looking like 19 Wolves will be taken on down next. It's a double here for Super Shot as he goes in Viz looking for this Ringo. He's going the right direction. Xpod may be hard to find. Gets into that bush just in time. And so Noble Pro not going to be able to find that third and final kill. But a gold mine is certainly juicy, and so they will look for that payout.
Mortal Wounds, that's the new name of the miner here. But as the damage just continues to go on, it will be an immense gold payout by the end of it. And that's going to be the last of it here for the gold miner. 14 minutes in, 7-4 for the score, but 5,000 gold now accrued up. Noble Pro definitely in a good position, looking for that end game. They might have lost out the first kill in the last fight, but they were able to answer with 2 more by the time it was all done. And Xpod with this Slumbering Husk just is unfortunately finding it very hard to stay relevant in these team fights.
Right, but he's certainly surviving them, and that's a huge thing for Nemesis Titan. If they can position a bit better, be on the same page as far as he's engaged concerned, then that Slumbering Husk will pay dividends eventually for Nemesis Titans. They just need to hold on and make sure that they're taking fights that they want, rather than allowing Noble Pro to force the aggression here, because that double Tyrant's breaking point, build, it's complete now for the Fox. This is where he starts to just eat away at your health, and 19 Wolves is constantly being an engage point as Noble Pro want to go in here. Zeal in the middle of the fight, and he gets destroyed. Gauntlet not going to stop anything as he gets pulled right on out. 19 Wolves the next target, and he gets taken on down. Xpod, he's got that Slumbering Husk, he's surviving for now, but that's going to be an X-Retsu to finish that one off. Ace comes through, 15 minutes as well, so the big beast, she is here on the fold. But Noble Pro, they're going to focus these turrets down, take one with these super minions, and then head on over to try and take down this Kraken.
Yeah, the Crystal Sentry is another big target to take down. One more life for that Sentry to go through, and then Darok will have just free reign of this jungle. But yeah, leaving the minions there to go pick up that turret, no problem. So they pick up one, they pick up the Sentry, and now even going to get this Kraken pushing down Noble Pro. They had some infusions on that as well. Level 9 infusion for 19 Wolves. I probably would have expected at least one of the damagey kind of characters to pick it up instead of their captain, but he tried. I'll give him that. Unfortunately, Wolves is also suffering from some level deficit at this point, Tazzy. He's still only level 10, whereas it's 12 across the board for Noble Pro.
And that's a big problem. Wolves, without his overdrive on his final ability, is just not going to be dishing out as much utility, as much hurt, whatever it may be. So Nemesis Titan now with their backs against the wall, having to fight against this big beast. Hellfire Brew once more blocked up Daryl going to find that one easily. And now this turret going very, very low. That's the sentry coming forward, but he's not going to join the fight. He just pieces on out. He's already had a couple of his own. He needs to, visit the family. 19 Wolves, though, he just about gets to the fountain. Now Darulk's in the middle of the fight. This is a good start for Nemesis Titan. They can find Darulk, it's great, but Seal will not be able to do so. Loses his life in the process, and now this should be it. All on X-Pod ready to lay down the hurt. He's going for Yasuo here. Probably not the prime target as Daryl and Supershot and Kraken alike taking down this game. And it is going to be the first game 3 of tonight here for Court. They do it, Noble Pro, equalizing the series. We're going to a game 3.
17 minutes on the clock, but 16 kills overall. They still kept a pretty, decent pace. Wasn't explosive at all. It was still a lot of slow and steady wins the race right there. But Noble Pro were able to accrue their advantages little by little and able to snowball it at the end. The fights were extremely one-sided after, about the 12-minute mark or so. Once we got that first monocle on Daruk, kind of went downhill from there for Nemesis. And, even with that Slumbering Husk, which we eventually sold because Xpod wasn't getting what he wanted out of it, it's not enough to stop down that burst. I mean, Taka can really do some huge percentage burst, and he can do it again and again and again, Dragon. The cooldowns are merciless.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we saw in game number 1, played by Nemesis Titan so well, is their ability to keep applying that pressure and burst once they got behind the back line and, kind of wiggling away through the enemy team, surprising you, trying to get behind you, something Taka's good at. He's an assassin, so that's what his role is, and if you can play that correctly, that's where he's really good. I was really surprised, actually, how effective Taka was in this game as well, because, you don't necessarily have the same kind of squishy heroes. You have Ringo, he's a little bit squishy, and the Slumbering Husk, I think, was the wrong purchase. You really need to be able to burst down that Taka quickly and get him out of the match, or try to focus down the Vox. The Vox, that once he had Double Tyrant's Monocle, it seemed almost certain, and that was when we saw Noble Pro started to actually play better and win some team fights, then pick up that Double Tyrant's Monocle. You knew that it was going to be a lot of pain dishing out from the Vox as well. So, really challenging match. I think that right off from the gate, the composition favored Noble Pro, and I think that they used that to their advantage for most of the game. And definitely not even as close as what we saw in game number 1. So, really good match.
Maybe that car was too much of an impediment there, game 1, does he?
Right, well, the chronicle continues as it's a rush to the shop to buy a charger now. For quarters, the devices are dying here.
Yeah, they're serious.
But hey, is just out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, we're not waiting on them. They're kind of ready to go. They just have a few things like after each game. They're like running.
He's gonna play as he's buying the charger, like.
If they win this, that will be one to remember for them, especially as that's not the kind of condition you want to be playing Vainglory in. It's not ideal at all. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do here. And this is a really close matchup, even coming into it, where it wasn't like Noble was. They were ahead in seeding, but they're still, this Nemesis team was a team that had a chance to possibly make an upset. Out of all the matches that we were watching today. So, sure enough, we're seeing this, the one going to game 3. There was a few game 3s here today, but this is the first game 3 we got to see on stream, which is pretty awesome.
All right, well, third time the charm here, gents. Third time the charm. Not entirely too sure if we're going to be able to jump in right away here, Drake, but
I think we're about ready.
Wolves is apologizing. Is like, I'm playing on data, right? So I get some major lag every now and then. Don't worry, Wolves. We got your back. We'll pause when we can.
Absolutely. As soon as everybody gets into place, I think we're waiting on one more person to pop back in here for Nemesis, and then we'll be on the road, kind of getting in here. And as we get ready for the draft, Dowsey, we've seen both teams have success with Taka. You have to imagine that maybe we start to see, at the very least, I doubt we'll see a ban on Taka, but at the very least we'll see some better way of countering that specific pick, as if it's let through the draft, it may come out again.
Hey, it's an interesting one. Vox Taka Finn 100% win rate in this series. Something has to go, and it's either a ban or it's a first pick here. I don't expect them to ban too much of that composition. Noble Pro could just first pick the Finn after a Lyra, a Dargio ban, but it does look like they are going to ban the Finn instead. That does mean that one of the two captain heroes, the two healers, will be left open. So Nemesis Titan might not ban one, but they will. Okay, so I expect Yasuo to just lock in Lyra here.
Well, that would certainly be the evidence on this one, but I think Glaive is still 100% win rate tonight, if not over the last 2 days. I can't remember listening to any game yesterday where the Glaive lost, and I haven't seen him lose today, Dallas.
He lost in the previous game.
What? No, he didn't. He won. Didn't he win?
No.
What? Wasn't it?
It was Finn.
All right, it was the Finn. You know what? Why'd you let me say all that, Dowsy?
I forgot. Welcome to this game. It's Noble Pro versus.
For some reason, I had
1-1.
distinctly in my head it was Finn and Glaive. It was Finn Taka, wasn't it?
Yes.
Dang. Well, I'd still go with the Glaive anyways.
It's a strong pick. You know, as far as your analysis goes, you might be wrong on the numbers, but you're not wrong.
I'm not a numbers guy, Dad.
Concerned.
Oh well. New quote for chat right there. You're welcome, guys. Arden is getting a lot of limelight today, though.
Yes, certainly is, and I haven't seen it won yet, so I'm not sure if I'm convinced. Nemesis Titan certainly think they've got something up their sleeves, and Alpha going to come in, so an Alpha introduced to the series.
I can say with confidence, though, that Alpha hasn't won today.
Well done.
Thank you. All right. No more throwing Forkot under the bus on that one. So yes, looking at the Glaive, looking at the Vox, Lyra might actually just skate on by. No, 2 games of bans and nobody to really give her any peace of mind here.
Right, and now they're looking to pick this final pick. It is going to be once more a Captain Glaive. They're going with a very similar composition to their first game.
So Derok again.
I wasn't sold by the Captain Glaive.
Neither was I, but there's no Finn this time. Right? That's that was the cornerstone of a lot of the defense here from both sides. Gwen to come through for the lane. That will actually say no to Lyra, but 19 Wolves? No. Okay, there we go. Zeal to pick it up. That's way better. Gwen has been unimpressive as well.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen a dominant Glaive yet, so as far as like games I've witnessed so far in this 2017 spring split with Gwen and Arden, I'm not got too much hope for Nemesis Titan. Perhaps though, they're going to go bring it back into this, bring it back, and start to make these heroes shine once more. It is Game 3 here for Court Jester Noble Pro versus Nemesis Titan in this winners bracket match. The loser will fall down into that losers bracket where they have to fight the gauntlet to make it to the playoffs here. And so, really important matchup to strengthen your chances of making it to that stage.
Yasuo is going to be the Captain Glaive this round. Derok actually the one on the sky. 19 Wolves is going to be that Arden. He's about to double flare each other. So again, I wouldn't expect to see a ton of early game aggression. Does look like we are going to mostly stick to our sides. Double crystal bit there for Derok. Got some armor to start here for Super Shot. Doesn't want to get too close with Zeal, who actually started off with some weapon.
Right, so everyone has played different roles every game so far, and a good mind there from Yasuo to push everyone away so they could secure that Elder Treant. It's a nice win there for Noble Pro. Up in the lane, Zeal taking a bit of a beating, but 19 Wolves is going to move on in to support this Gwen here. And I'll be really interested to see if Xpod on this Alpha can find the engages that will really start to open some holes up in this game for Nemesis Titan.
So, Weapon Gwen, Crystal on this Alpha, and then kind of just the same here. Super Shot in lane with that weapon. We're going to get Derek building up into the Crystal. It'll be very different Crystal builds for the junglers. It's going to be more of Xpod on that Aftershock and more Frostburn and Broken Myth here for Derek.
Yep, no, I can see that coming through as well. And I'll be interested to see which item he optimizes first on this guy. You know, Frostburn, obviously a great first item. I remember during our Blitz tournaments, you cried every time it wasn't picked up first for Skye, as it provides so much.
In a Blitz tournament, that's different.
It's true. But it's still important, I think, against Xpod's Alpha. Just trying to slow down the Alpha, keep them off a carry. Any slow helps, right?
Well, any slow, every slow, like, it
Wow,
goes a long way, Daruk. Oh,
yeah, Daruk goes very low. Is able to get away for now. Xpod does have that Prime Directive available, but will not find a connection there. So everyone gets away with their lives. A very risky move for that Elder Tree, and look, Zeal, he's come around the back as well. Here he comes, they're looking for the fight, they're looking for the first blood here, and Supershot doesn't have any energy. It's going to be first blood going on over to this Alpha. Xpod finds Yazru there, and now Daruk might just be the second casualty of the fold here. Lays down that forward barrage, but they have 19 Wolves to try and support. Great series strike. Does put him into that reboot protocol. Now Daruk trying to tank down 19 Wolves before Xpod comes back on up. Will they go any further? It would be very risky here with Yazru respawning, but they don't quite know he's there. Now they do. Hello, around the corner comes the Glaive, looking for 19 Wolves, but Daruk can't get too close to the fight, so it's going to be a hard one. There it is. The kill goes forward. Xpod, Prime Directive lands onto a minion, so it's going to boost him just an inch further rather than a couple meters. And now Xpod, Prime Directive lands, and he finds the escape. Can he get away from Supershot? Coming on down, gonna just come on over, finish this one up. So flashy play, but it won't go unanswered.
I'm really impressed with Xpod right there, able to make the best of a bad situation. There was a lot of time just kind of spent in and around the jungle area. It did leave us to some pretty unanswered farm in that lane. Of course, we saw Supershot leave lane as well, so it's getting pushed up here on top of things. But Xpod getting that kill at the end. He only got one of the backs from the farm, so it wasn't like the best of the situations, but taking home that kill, it's going to be a feather in his cap, that's for sure.
Absolutely, it's a flashy play, right? It gives you a bit of pride, a bit of boost to your mentality. Hey, you know, I've still got it on this Alpha, perhaps. You know, and it also it tilts Daruk. You know, he knew that he couldn't go close because that might happen, and then he finally gets to the point where he thought he was safe. Nope. Here comes the Prime Directive to finish you off. So 2-2 and a 600 gold lead here on Nemesis Titan. Fountain completed for 19 Wolves. Nice and early. Yazru not quite having that finished yet. So Nemesis Titan could force a fight, and they would come out pretty healthy for it.
So we'll have to actually see if that does go through. One of the downsides of 19 Wolves kind of going off on that adventure in the jungle is that it is a little lower on the levels, but here comes Xpod, and that percentage damage just ticking away with the Aftershock.
Yeah, because they have that Fountain, they're very comfortable to take as much damage as necessary to try and find a kill. There's the Prime Directive! Supershot. They're having a great time against that one. The energy bar very low on this. Vox are going to have to go back to base very shortly. And Xpod could just look to try and do it through the tower, get on top, and he will.
Yes.
Looking for the kill, and he finds it. And he has that Termination Protocol ready to try and find some more. Looking for Daruk. It's a double kill coming forward as Zil finds a second. Daruk, can you get away? Prime Directive doesn't connect, so for now, this guy will have a bit of breathing room, but this turret is going down. Nothing to stop Nemesis Titan from securing it. What a great start for these guys.
I gotta say, Xpod is playing probably the best that I've seen him here in this series. He's making some really aggressive moves, but he's abusing the fact that he has that Termination Protocol. He is level 6. Even just the reboot earlier on allowed him to lead the charge into the enemy jungle, and that's where they were able to, you know, tie up resources, get those kills, and just be rather annoying here up against Noble Pro. So Xpod, you know, with that early gold that he was able to spend out, the Aftershock was there. 2 more crystal bits, no sign of the Storm Crown, so perhaps we are not going to go as bursty as I might have once predicted, but Daruk has actually finished up into his Frostburn there as well. Supershot has himself that breaking point. You can take a good bet that it's going to be something of a monocle sometime down the line, and Zeal has himself a Sora Blade plus a little bit extra, probably looking for his own breaking point at this round.
Right, so currently the momentum sits in Nemesis Titan's corner. As Noble Pro, they've kind of lost that early advantage here, so they have to play a little bit safer, look for a pick, wait for the heroes to start to scale up. Of course, Fox will certainly scale up as soon as that double monocles hits the fold. That's when Nemesis Titan have to show a little bit more respect to Noble Pro. Yazaru could knock someone into a good position, but actually it's just Xpod going straight onto the backline. Super Shot stands no chance. Actually, a wait for it will give him a bit of breathing time. Daryl going to come on forward, try and do some damage. Nemesis Titan feeling pretty good about their aggression right now.
Every cooldown, Xpod's able to get some big damage numbers in. Looking for Daruk now.
Yeah, Xpod going low and actually doesn't start up that termination protocol, so it's just going to be a reboot here. No extra damage, but a prime directive onto Supershot. He doesn't need his ultimate, just going ham. And now the fountain to get everyone out nice and healthy. Diving 2 turrets, but Nemesis Titan, they don't even care. Now looking to try and take down this tier 2. And Daruk will be in position to try and stop them here, but it's not going to be enough. That's another turret going for Nemesis Titan. They pull ahead here by 4,000 gold.
Coat of Plates for Xpod, likely to be the next upgrade for him. If we get in with that Atlas, and there it is, he's going to be able to not only get damage on 1, 2, 3 opponents, but an Atlas on all 3 of them. Going to be absolutely devastating up against Supershot and Yazaru just for the bonus points, get him on top of Daryl. But the play has been, again, pretty superb. Xpod has been able to get some pretty good prime directives. He's been able to maybe not explode his way to victory, but he's certainly chunking them down. And that's putting Noble Pro, when they finally do decide to capitalize or retreat, it makes it a very easy option because they just don't have the health to go up against the 3-man squad.
Right, and it's Noble Pro doing their best to get gold where gold is and purchase those items that are going to give them a bit more of a fighting chance, but Xpod just is not giving them an inch currently for court. Every time they step up, look for a fight, or even just look for gold in the lane, Xpod's there to just dish back the damage. Xpod really just coming up MVP so far in this game.
Yeah, so far, hands down, best play going on, at least for now. Noble Pro's not out of this one yet. It's 3,500 gold down, so they're in a little bit of a hole, and they haven't really been able to execute their combo pretty much at all. Yazaru here on top of this support, right? This captain role, this roaming. He's not really bringing damage, but he's also not really using the afterburn to set up kills. A lot of it has been for peel, which is, again, going to be putting them a little bit more on the back foot. The good news is that Supershot is 1 monocle richer, so he's going to be looking for that second as well. You said about the scaling, right? By the time we get to a Kraken, if we're still in this game, he's going to be hitting like a truck.
Yeah, and they're trying to contest this gold miner, but Xpod, he's just going to turn it straight on them. Supershot goes extremely low. The gold miner, Yazaru, having a bit of fun together. Yazaru, can he find the steal is the question. Nope. No, he cannot, and he will lose his life for attempting it. Gold payout goes in favor of Nemesis Titan, and that's just salt in the wound.
Well, I'll give him the credit. You got to go for those kind of plays. If you'd been able to steal it, would have been a good kick in the pants here to get back to parity. But because he couldn't, we are just going to stay very much on that defensive. Yazaru to pick up a Shiver steal. Not quite what we're looking for in terms of an Atlas Pauldron, but it will enable a little bit more stickiness for the team. The question is, I'm not entirely too sure it's going to go a long way for the survivability of these guys, because so far they're just getting chunked out repeatedly by Xpod, who has no real fear, and there's not a ton of armor or, well, anything built up against him. Like, we have no crystal, no shield, not really any armor, and it's just not working out for Noble.
Yeah, they're starting to optimize into a bit of shielding here so that they can get the Aegises completed, but it might be a little bit too late. Xpod, he's had his way so far, and it's not like Yazaru can stop him. Does afterburn over to try and steal that Trient, but to no avail. Now Supershot, he's caught out all by himself. Prime directive gonna land, and Ace is high. Doesn't connect with a target, but Zil is there laying down the damage. Gauntlet goes down. They lock up Yazaru. The support is gonna go down, and oh wow! Prime directive onto 3, doing the damage, but a great death from above. Gonna lock Xpod onto the turret. Can he reboot? Yes, he can. He will get that Vanguard to save his life as well. Just about escapes close to the wire there.
Nemesis saw red. As soon as Xpod got that last chunk, I was just like, go, go, go. He saw the engage, but that did prove to be a little bit more to their undoing. So now they're the ones that have to back off. But Noble Pro, they're feeling their pressure. They're getting rebuffed again and again. They are going to come out okay this round. But unless they do something about this gold difference, unless they can find a pick, then life is just not going to be good to them. We have an infusion to come out for Xpod. He's looking for that broken myth, but it's so hard to just do anything against this, right? They're in a very defensive mindset. Perhaps you're not seeing everything objectively. They're just really trying to mitigate the damage, but mitigation is not actively getting them out of that hole.
Yeah, Super Shot going to complete that Aegis now, building towards that final Monocles to finish off the build for the Vox. And as the minutes drag on, this game becomes doable for Noble Pro. As said, not out of it yet. It's still a possibility, but they have to throw some respect at Xpod, because this guy continuously blowing up Super Shot, continuously laying down the damage, prime directives left, right and center landing. It's going to be another gold mine taken here. It's a small one, just a okay gold payout coming out, decent, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Game 188 gold each, not too bad. No one's going to shake their head at that. And now Xpod looking to be a little bit aggressive, though a lot of damage from that forward barrage cuts him right down. Good start for Noble Pro.
Alright, so it's same old story. Right back here under this turret. Darok just trying to put down some forward interference here. Death from above to come out. That will clear out the wave. And that's unfortunately about all they're going to get done out of this one. The fold is the oyster here for Nemesis Titan. They can just do whatever they want. They're going to lose out this Crystal Sentry, absolutely. And there has to be a breaking point, right? There has to be a breaking point. Either Noble Pro is going to get the kills and come back into this one, or they're going to fold under this continuous pressure. If they had the cash, I'd say look for the infusions, look for a 15-minute fight, see if a Kraken can turn your luck around. But it's still a ways off.
Luckily, there's 2 in this game, so we'll have to see if that works out for you, Forecourt, Chester. But you're right, there has to be a breaking point. At one stage, this game will swing one way or the other. And for both these teams, they want it to be their way rather than their opponents, as they don't want to fall down to that loser's bracket. It's not a place they want to be. Ace is high, not connecting. Yep. Zill hasn't really been on point with that ultimate so far.
He's been overshadowed by Xpod pretty significantly. I mean, we keep talking about those kind of builds, but yeah, Zeal has not really been able to make that ace hit. Now that the ace is out of the bag, though, it's probably the best engage you're going to get from Noble.
Yeah, look at that. Wait for it goes out. Death from above. Xpod locked up. 19 Wolves going low. The prime directive misses. It all adds up for Noble Pro, but Super Shot's going low. Now Xpod, there's the termination protocol right on the fight, and they're going to take down Super Shot straight off the bat. That is going to be just 1 kill, but it's all they need. The Fox out of the fight. He's the hyper carrier of the team. That turret going to go down as well. Yazaru, not long for this world. Forward Barrage slowing down this Alpha, but not enough. Can Daruk just take them both down? The death from above placement's good, but he's not going to have enough damage, not enough energy either. So the choke turret now fallen. 50 minutes on the map. Welcome the Kraken to the Halcyon fold. Let's get this one going.
Even down an ult like Zeal was, even under a turret, Noble Pro still not able to get really anything out of any of this. So we might have actually hit that tipping point already, Mr. Dowsey. It might be 8-2, but 7,000 gold. That deficit is just not going down at all. In fact, Noble Pro now actually in the negative more than ever at this point. We don't have the double monocle from Super Shot, and at the same time, Yazaru with this Shiver Steel, I still have to question the usefulness of it.
Certainly, and now they are going straight on to Super Shot. Doesn't stand a chance. Fountain to try and keep him alive. Death from above will split the fight, but a prime directive, it lands. Xpod, termination protocol, this time won't land, but the Crystal Sentry will feel the hurt of it. Xpod's going to go low here, but not low enough, and they're going to turn the fight. Zero with the first kill. Super Shot falls. Yazaru the target as they split off to make sure they find Daruk as well. Prime directive, it won't land onto the main target here, but it's not long for this world. Sky gonna fall. 2 kills for nil, and a Kraken to be taken.
even with a Crystal Miner, just not going to happen. So Nemesis Titan, very eager to pick up this Kraken and push down. There's no choke point turret for them to worry about whatsoever, and honestly, with the way that they're pushing in, especially with Xpod, they might just be able to finish the game right here and now. That will put Noble Pro into the lower brackets, Dowsy.
Yep, it would certainly do so. We'll have to see if Nemesis Titan with this Kraken can finish this one off. It's all lined up for them. The path to victory is there, so they can continue on to round 3 here in the winner's bracket. Just need to make sure that they find the kills, don't overextend, don't get cocky, or else Noble Pro will look to punish that.
All right, 7,000 gold up. Nemesis Titan are tied up 1-1, and this is for all the marbles, Dowsy. If Noble Pro make one slip up, it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. The Crystal Sentry going to start off the fight here as they're going to go straight onto Zeal, doing the damage, but it is once more Super Shot going low. Xpod in the middle of the fight, looking for that Termination Protocol, straight onto Super Shot, and he blows up in a fury. But they're going to take Xpod down before the fight. He manages to reboot. Now they're turning to Zeal. Super Shot does die, but they're going to find 19 Wolves here. That's what Noble Pro needed. Crystal Sentry comes up trumps, does the damage to begin with. The Kraken wailing away at this turret. Will find one at least. 19 Wolves still alive here, but will fall in the end. And now they need to find this Kraken and stop him from taking their base.
I do think that they will actually be able to stall this one out. So the game will continue on here, Dowsy. That big pickup on top of Xpod, no slick escapes for him this time. That was pretty huge. That was what Noble Pro needed. They're able to finally get some cash in their pockets. They get the Kraken. That's 500 gold apiece. They got all the shutdowns that they need right there. And finally, double monocles coming out here for Super Shot. So the game will continue. Noble Pro finally finding a little bit of their footing. They're bringing down the gold to just under 5,000 between the two.
Gold means nothing at this stage. Teams are practically at their full build. Like, certainly, Daryl doesn't quite have that final item, but I'm not sure it matters now that Super Shot has hit that last item. Now he just needs to get a couple more G's on his side so he can purchase a weapon infusion. Everyone needs one, because this next team fight will be on more equal footing.
Well, the big thing is that, yeah, they have the cash. They'll be able to finish up. This is all the marbles right here.
Xpod misses the engage. They're looking for this one. Yeah, this is it. And they're going down. Xpod already gone low. Zeal trying to dish the damage. Super Shot split from his team. Prime Directive will miss, but it doesn't matter. They found Super Shot, and that will just be it. Yasuo, the next target, gets blown up, taken down. A double for Zeal, looking for the triple. Yasuo doing his best to escape. The Crystal Sentry doing his work. Will find one, but it is a triple here for Zeal. And that will be the ace, the game, the series for Nemesis Titan. They move forward in the VIS64 here forecourt to face up against the rest of the winners. Noble Pro, they're knocked down to the losers bracket.
So again, two big things is apparently Glaive not nearly the super pick that I was making him out to be, so rest in pieces there. But again, picking up no Crucible, went into that Stormcrown by the end of it all and had himself a Shiver Steel. I'm a little bit still unsure about where that exactly goes, but the other big thing is that we haven't seen a huge amount of Sky, and Sky just kind of felt a little lackluster tonight, Dowsy. I don't know if it's a change of the meta or the pacing, whatever, but it almost seemed just too easy to avoid her at all turns.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I feel like if you want someone who plays a similar role to Sky, you can pick up a Samuel. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Dragonborn.
I mean, it's interesting because, you know, I think Crystal Sky is something that has come in and out every once in a while. It adds a lot of burst, and, you know, against an Alpha, you do want to burst him down, but Alpha typically has a lot of sustain, and that initial burst usually comes back where if you don't take him out, and actually in that last fight, the reason Alpha got responded was because Daryl couldn't get into position to do damage onto Alpha. I mean, Super Shot was dealing a ton of damage, Yasuo was there doing as much as he could, but the Sky couldn't. And so, you know, being out of position doesn't help you, but obviously that burst was really important in that last fight. It was really close to helping them turn that around, because if Xpod's taken out and it's a 3v2 in favor of Noble Pro, they might actually start to take that game over and even mount a comeback. So just really perfect gauntlet by 19 Wolves to block out the Sky from getting into position. And yeah, the fact that Glaive, the support Glaive, who has been really hard for a lot of teams to deal with. I mean, we've seen really good teams struggle going up against this in the support role. It seems like it's not a big factor in this certain case, and I think a lot of the reasons is you typically you're trying to punt heroes into your team to kill them, but Alpha is the last person you want to be punting into the middle of your team.
Yeah, and that's honestly a big thing of it, right? He goes in deep, you're like, oh, I gotta peel, but I don't know. It just the Glaive build really confused me.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit behind. I think that's what happens when you're starved for a good chunk of the game. It can be really challenging to get back into it, and sometimes maybe you start making decisions on items that you maybe wouldn't have made if you were ahead or if you were even, but then now you're forced to actually like try to claw your way up from behind, and you end up making drastic choices that maybe aren't the best. So I think that's what happened there. But guys, we're winding down pretty close to the end, but we are going to be bringing you guys a game number 2 from one more series. So we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be able to jump right into that. It will be the final series of tonight. So it's getting pretty late. I know it's late over there in the UK. So Dalcy, thanks for hanging in there and being able to keep chugging along as we make it to the final late hours of this broadcast. But we're almost there. One more match, maybe. It might go to a game 3. We'll have to see when we return from this quick break.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Welcome back, everybody, from the break as we get ready for this final matchup. This one's a pretty exciting one as we are going to be jumping into game number 2 with Giraffes getting the first win over Resurgence. Well, Resurgence X, but just Resurgence, as we'll go with that here. And so they've got one, so we may be having a quick one and then another one and done. So this could be a very short jump into this match. We'll see. But we had some time. This team just wrapping up game number 1. Perfect timing for us to get into it. The one thing I'll say, and Forecourt, you could probably talk a little bit about this, is Giraffes is another one of those teams to keep an eye on because of some of the history. These competitive players on this team have been playing for some time. Juan Hernandez and Not Paralyzed. I mean, a lot of people remember Juan. I think you actually made that pretty famous, Forecourt, back in the day in a couple seasons ago.
Is this the Juan?
This is the Juan.
The Juan shot, the Juan kill?
This is it, man. I mean,
Juan Hernandez?
Name changes several times over, but coming back to where it all started, so.
You got to call the Wambulance when you're going up against this guy.
But this is really close. This is a really close seed, guys, because this is a 14 seed versus a 19 seed. So we're not talking about a 4 seed versus a 37 seed. This is going to be a really close matchup. So I think that we're all this is going to be one we're all really going to like to see. Could be really exciting.
Well, it's Juan Bradley not paralyzed. People in the chat a little bit earlier on when we were going over some of the rosters are saying that not paralyzed was a big reason that he was actually for his team. He was able to get into the Evil 8 for his brief stint. So not going to sleep on any of these guys. I do believe Giraffe is up 1-0, however.
That is correct.
So yeah, they're definitely in the driver's seat for momentum on this one, Dowsy. Rush 2112 fan, Biomancer, and I Dance Good. What do you think? What do you think we're gonna see here, bro?
Well, as you said, Giraffes are 1-0 up in this series. So for Resurgence, wow, okay. They need to come into this game with a plan, and well, a plan indeed.
Finish the sentence, and we'll start the game. That's the pace we're on.
Lyra banned away. It's going to be Finn locked in immediately from Resurgence. That was probably the quickest ban stage I've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, these guys know what they want. So thanks so much for setting us up here, Dragon. But Dowsy, I know they kind of rushed right through all that one. But no Glaive to come through yet. We have been seeing a lot of pressure on top of the Adagios, the Lyras. They've been definitely the big guys to ban. We did see a Finn ban finally. Last round, we saw a pretty good Alpha. We've seen some Saw and some Kestrel. We are going to be sticking close to the heart here for quite a few of these power picks.
So I'm really interested to see how this plays out. And my assumption is it's a CP Glaive in the jungle and a weapon power Kestrel in lane. But there's a possibility to mix it up a little bit if you want to. The final pickup here for Giraffes, looking like it will be a Cruel locked in here, which is very interesting.
So the Crow is going to be either supremely effective or he's just going to be face down in the dirt quite a bit. I'm not entirely too sure which way it'll go yet. Depends on how we do get into these builds. But the Crow, if he can actually start stacking those weakness stacks in the middle of these team fights, and he can survive a good bit, if he can get 3, 4, 5 of them on multiple parties, that's a huge advantage that he's accrued for the team.
Yeah, certainly can. And so for not paralyzed, it's crucial that he looks to create those advantages for Giraffes. They are 1-0 up in this series. This is game 2 of this series between Giraffes and Resurgence. Resurgence on your blue side, Biomancer, I Dance Good, and Rush 2112 fan up against Giraffes, who are one-handers. Horrendous. Wow, I butchered it.
I thought you said one-handers. It's like, what? Really? Where are you getting that from?
I also English good. Bradley and not paralyzed. So really important game coming forward here.
So fun fact about Juan Hernandez here is that we did kind of become very, very much in love with kind of his style, because back a few seasons ago when Juan was still playing in Evil 8, he really adored the Kestrels, which is where the Juan kill, or the one-shot Juan kill, so it kind of came from. I think actually AJ made up that one. AJ are humanists, the jokesters that they are. Yeah, so I would have expected to see a Kestrel there, but times have changed.
Times have changed. It was locked away, unfortunately. But they did lock in the Vox before the Kestrel came through, so it makes sense. Vox is currently tier 1 in the lane. You want to be giving yourself the best chance possible. Bit of an interesting dance going on here as I Dance Good is getting aggressed onto by Not Paralyzed, who's had his back stolen away by a Biomancer and Rush 2112 here. So
call him Rush. It's cool.
We'll just call him Rush. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it's good. Juandez, wow, we're not having a good time on this one. He is pushing up the lane. That's going to be fun all the way until they get ganked.
Right, and here they come. Biomancer looking to knock him against the wall. One looking to dance away. Here comes Not Paralyzed from the bushes. Looking for this kill onto Glaive. It's very close. Can they find the first blood? No, they cannot. It gets traded back. Goes on over to Rush. I Dance Good will fall as a result. So 1-for-1 in the end, but first blood in favor of Resurgence.
I like how their tag is grr. Just reminds me of just growling. I just want to growl right now.
Giraffes don't growl.
I know, that's why it's really strange to me. Giraffes don't even have voice boxes. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Do they not make sounds at all?
My understanding is if you don't have a voice box, you don't make a sound. But I could be wrong on that one.
There you go. Maybe Twitch chat can enlighten us on biology and all that.
Twitch Cat's got our back. All right, so 1 for 1. You know, kind of got a little bit more brawly right there. A little bit of blood was spilled. Idance good, still holding up lane. It does look like a weapon Kestrel is going to be in the works. No Kestrel here. Sorry, no Crystal Kestrel. But getting even just a Crystal bit can go a long way for your splash damage, goes a long way for your ults and your camo as well. But Biomancer, he is not starting off for Banner. This could actually be something more of an EU-centric build where he builds up a good bit of weapon.
Yeah, and that would be interesting because it... you know, you'll likely purchase a Storm Crown eventually, but the weapon power means that he becomes a threat on the backline, and
well done.
That's exactly it. You know, he's able to try and steal away objectives like that Elder Tree, and when they do get into a 3v3 fight, they can't just focus down the Kestrel, they also have to focus down this Glaive. It just fits the focus that Giraffes will be dishing out.
Alright, so Juan there in lane. Looks like it will be a bit more of a Crystal here on top of our Vox, as he does get punted away. Not exactly the result Biomancer was looking for. Big thing is, where is Not Paralyzed going to go with his build? He has built into that banner already, and a little bit of cooldown reduction, so we could actually see the Storm Crown and that Aftershock, and dancing good!
Yeah, he gets taken down by the one-shot master himself. Juan Horrenda is going to find that kill there. 2-1 is Giraffes biting back. They won first game, and so they're going to be looking to carry that forward. I'm being told by Twitch chat that Giraffes do make sounds, and I'm almost certain I've heard a Giraffes make a sound as well. It's kind of like a weird, like, I'm not going to imitate it because I have a dignity, like a glimpse of dignity.
In a Blitz tournament, you have. You have no dignity, Dowsy.
You're right, especially after 2 a.m. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m.
Alright, Biomancer decides to skip the banner, go straight for the crown. He had the money to do it. His clear time should actually just go way up on top of this one. And he is, you know, kind of sticking with par here on top of Not Paralyzed. He's kind of going a little bit more into the tier 2s rather than the tier 3. He has that banner, he has the cooldown coming up for an Aftershock. And, well, we'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah, certainly. Here we go. That Storm Crown purchased up, wasn't going for the full weapon-centric build as we perhaps thought. At the moment, Juan just dishing out so much damage. Biomancer trying to knock his Fox into the back of the fight, but it doesn't even matter. Look at him, he's so confident dancing around the lane like a ballerina. I dance good, some moves.
Like a ballerina. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're nimble on your toes, and we've seen some mobile takas in the past, definitely dance circles around people. We'll have to see if, you know, Bradley or anybody else, I dance good, needs to be a bit more on his toes if he wants to avoid those impales.
Yeah, you ready for a super fast crawl to run on your face? 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, okay.
not quite. Not quite.
But, hey,
they're going to find Biomancer.
Yeah, they are going to find Biomancer. Level 6 on this Glaive. Has got a bit of trouble on his hands as the Impale comes through. They don't want to go too deep. They have to respect the Crystal Miner. One is super content sitting in lane, just farming up at the moment.
It's just all giraffe talk now. It's fantastic. Twitch chat certainly is funny sometimes. Dowsy, Gold Miner gonna go down. We actually soloed that one out. Not Paralyzed could even get home a kill here.
Yeah, he certainly could. They won't be able to. The Glaive will afterburn to safety. For now, it's going to be safe. But this turret won't be. It is going to be first turret blood going down here for the team of Giraffe as they find that one there. And so a bit of chunk of gold towards them. 2,000 for them in the bag. But with that gold mine added on. It's a good start for Giraffes, and Resurgence may have had a bit of an explosive beginning where they did get their first blood, but all momentum that they may have got from that has certainly been lost.
Alright, so Paralyzed is finished up. He's consumed everything into a crown, so he's going to match out Biomancer here. But when you look at the farm, on paper, not really that different. Biomancer seems to be just going farther ahead with his build quicker. Although we did pick up the tier 2 attack speed coming in here for Paralyzed. He has a little bit of health there as well. We'll have to see who wins out.
Yeah, certainly, as here comes the fight. That Forced Accord blocked. Rush not going to be able to pull anyone down. And and that will be Glaive. Lost from the fight. Great Impale's coming forward, and it's not done yet as Paralyze gonna find the ult onto this Kestrel. Bradley looking to support that fight. One able to take down Finn. It's an ace that comes through, and now they're looking to take this tier 2 turret.
Even just looking at builds, I'm not entirely too sure. Giraffe should have done it as well as they did, but Biomancer going in super deep. And then just kind of getting stuck behind enemy lines. It didn't do them any favors. The turret goes down to the burst, and just, again, the sustain here of the Giraffes are actually doing pretty fantastic when it comes to numbers. Like, they could easily turn and look for a burn here. Biomancer's already used that after burn, so Juan, I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, no, he's not.
You're right.
Think again, forecourt. My professional diagnosis is that he's very dead right now. But he will come back to us in just 5 seconds time. Bradley, however, may be a bit behind. He's trying to roll to safety, and I think he's just about got there. Rush doesn't want to follow too deep into the jungle. What about iDansgood? iDansgood in trouble. Paralyze looking for the kill. The rest of the team trying to get on in to stop this Cruel from tearing on down, and they are going to blow him up. Bradley, he pokes a fight and takes the kill. Gets forced to cord in. Here comes one into the fight. It's a continuous fight. It never ends. The festivities continuous through the VIS, but eventually we will slow down, stop to reconsider. 6-3, a 4,000 gold lead here for Giraffe. Still looking strong.
I'm a little surprised at the damage output, I suppose. I mean, I saw Juan there, just figured with the boots you'd just be able to get out, but Biomancer, again, he has a lot of that cooldown already built up, so he was able to get off another afterburn. Definitely caught me by surprise, probably caught Juan there a little bit off guard as well, because he did go down. It was a long altercation, but by the time the dust settles, 6-3, and still an advantage accrued here by Giraffes. There's not a lot of a safety net past that choke turret here for Resurgent, so every time they go venturing the forward, you got a long way to go for a retreat.
And so, I don't know if you've mentioned it, it's possible I zoned out at one point as I am getting a little bit tired, but CP Vox for one here. It's not very common we see a CP Vox enter the fold, and that's kind of why he just gets blown up early game, needs to scale up, and just doesn't quite have the damage until late. Currently Giraffes playing risky considering the fact that they do have that CP box, and
well,
Gold Miner looks like it should go in favor of Resurgence. There's the Hells, not going to steal it away.
No, the Hell's Heart's tanked out by the Finn, doesn't really phase him whatsoever. There's no wrath in that Hell's Heart right there, but yeah, getting caught, you know, perhaps you call it hubris, perhaps you got bad positioning, whatever you want to call it. I mean, even with a weapon Vox, it wouldn't have changed the difference in that one. You get caught, you're done. That's how that will happen. And again, like Biomancer with this Glaive, it's just such a powerful rinse-repeat tool. You have the afterburn, 7 seconds later, you got another one. It is something that you have to take into consideration. But a Crystal up against this team, definitely not so bad. I would have expected a weapon in the Crystal to go on top of the Krull. It's definitely what I was alluding to a little bit earlier on. But instead of something like an Aftershock on this Krull, he's gone into a breaking point instead. So definitely I feel not the super solid meta that I was expecting here. But Juan, if he can just continuously lay into Rush, like Rush won't die very quickly, right? And then those resonance stacks will start just working away at this game.
Yeah, look at this. This is where they want to fight, but a great quiver comes through. And from Hell's Heart, not going to land there. That means that they can re-engage the fight. Not Paralyzed, going very low, but gets the Fountain to heal him up. And now Juan wants to turn back on in. Active Camo locks him up. This Glaive currently being chased down by the Cruel, gets taken on out. Will that be the only casualty of the fight? It looks like it will be. So Goldmine will be taken away by this Cruel all by himself. He's a big boy now.
He absolutely is. I mean, if you think about it, not Paralyzed was on, what, less than a bar of health. Yep. And then he was able to capitalize on his weakness stacks, and then he got a Fountain, and then he just kind of laid into the rest of Glaive. Came out just smelling like roses, able to take a Gold Miner, no problem. Those breaking point stacks do give him quite a bit of a hit if he can actually survive through it. Now, had he died, very different story, but because he's able to linger on, that's where the Crow really does shine. 25 max stacks, he's a scary guy. but he should actually be prioritizing armor. You see that he's going to be doing that here next. Double defensives past this once he gets into the tier 3 armor, and that Aegis, well, Paralyzed might actually go unstoppable.
Yeah, it's very, very scary, I guess, this crawl that he can do that. You know, it makes things a little bit frightening. you think you've done and dealt with him, but it's just not enough. Now they're going to try and do their best to fight in the jungle, but the sentry's already gone, not going to have a chance. So once more, Resurgence, too late to the party. And some infusions being purchased up here as Giraffes are looking to start to finish this one off. Rush currently in that bush, not really the key target. 2 recalls, and that's going to be the Kestrel out of the fight. Breaking points purchased for now. An opportunity to flank Biomancer is behind the team. Perhaps they won't respect it, but he does recall, so not going to try and use that position that they have here.
Ooh, all right, that's a big miss. Biomancer's going to start things off, but they're down an anchor.
Yeah, and they didn't land a good afterburn onto one either, so basically their engage is completely thwarted now. Giraffes, they just have to play it safe, make sure they don't overstep the mark. They'll be alright here. Going to continue to push this turret down. Idance Goods looking pretty low. Biomancer does have the cooldown to go in and try and find a re-engage, but that anchor toss needs to start hitting.
Yeah, every time you do miss that out, I mean, he doesn't have level 3 of it, right? That's about a 40-second cooldown. We haven't built into any cooldown reduction for this Finns because he is pretty much just going pure defensives. We do have that fountain. He has the Atlas, the Crucible. The big thing for the team here for Resurgence is to actually fight around Rush. Every time he gets off that Polite Company, every time he can get off that Atlas, it just increases their odds exponentially.
Yep, and that would have been a good time to fight, but they didn't have Biomancer on the same page there, so not going to happen. And wow, look at this. That's going to be not paralyzed once more, just walking away on 0 HP. Comes back in to finish this one off. Idance Good already off the map. One under the turret looking for Biomancer, and he's going to find the kill as well. Just leaves Rush to defend this base. Oh, the cord into the base, but it won't be enough to kill one there. Does mean that it looks like this turret may not be taken just yet. Guy got not paralyzed, looking to try and do it all by himself. He is doing a good damage to it. Bradley also going to come forward. And so the turret does get taken down. They didn't need one, as it turns out.
Yeah, that's the Storm Crown there for you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just really ripping right through it there, Dowsy. But you said it at the beginning of that, right? It's just like, if you can fight around Rush, you're going to have a really good time. If that hook had actually ended up being a kill, could have actually been pretty fantastic for Resurgence. But the huge miscommunication at the very beginning of it, not having all 3 there, and then the very slow retreat, and all the while just getting chunked away. Resurgence gotta have a better game plan than that if they want to bring back into this matchup. And 5,000 gold, it's not an insignificant disadvantage that they're at.
Yeah, and Giraffes, they want to continue up the pressure. Biomancer uses that afterburn, but to no avail. Looking to try and get the damage down. Idance Good struggling to escape. Currently, Rush, he's laying down hurt. The Glimmer Shots are starting to stack up. The one shot won't go out before Idance Good falls, and so now Rush will be the second target. Trying to escape Biomancer here. Will be able to recall, but the Sentry won't have the same luck. He is eliminated from the fold. And now Giraffes have a bit of an option ahead of them. They could try and push the base in a little bit, but they won't necessarily go for that. The Kraken is here, a much juicier option.
Well, not Paralyzed can solo this. There's actually no real reason for Juan and Bradley to be here other than just time is of the essence. They're going to be able to pick this up free and clear. There's really nothing Biomancer is going to be able to do about it. Very much a lack of vision throughout a lot of these matchups here tonight, but the Kraken, they could have guessed, is going to be coming down their way. These level 12 infusions coming through. It's 16 minutes in, Dowsing. We're still suffering from a lack of level 12s here from Resurgence. They had some infusions of their own, but they're not max level, right? They're still missing a point in their abilities. They're still missing that extra scaling. It's all just kind of adding up to Resurgence now very much on their last legs.
Certainly are, and with the Kraken pushing in, this could just be them knocked down into the losers bracket. Giraffes, heading on forward to that winners bracket round 3. Here she comes, the beautiful beast of the Halcyon Fold, looking to take this game, finish it on up. And currently Giraffe's just going to look for the fight. Good knockback one, knocked on in, but the Horse Core does not connect, and now they're just being destroyed. That's one kill. I do dance good falls. One just dancing back and forth on the back line as he continues to do work. They will be able to escape to their base here, heal on up, but the turrets are falling and it's not looking good. Bradley just about rolls to safety. One is going to find another as those pulses bounce back and forth, and that will be the game going in favor of Giraffes. They're going to take this series 2-0 as they blow up Rush on the fountain, and they take the crystal to finish this one off. Unfortunately for Resurgence, knocked down into the losers bracket, where they can have a second chance to fight in this Challenger Series.
Now, we didn't get to see game 1 of Giraffes, but again, Dragonborn coming in with the roster news. We've seen some of these guys here out there before, and I didn't get to see game 1 either, but 14 seed versus 19 seed, this seemed pretty much square in the Giraffes corner. It said that the Crow is either going to be overwhelmingly good or overwhelmingly bad. Didn't go into the crystal that I thought he might, but into the breaking point, I feel like Tasty Bacon would be proud of this build, since he's a Kroll main himself. The CP Vox ended up working out pretty fantastically too there, Dowsy.
Yeah, well, we'll have to ask Dragon. Were you proud
I mean,
not paralyzed?
I don't know, man. There were 2 deaths that I'm sitting there looking at like how did he die? I mean, so there was an early one where he's going in, he has almost full stacks on the glaive. It looked like he had his ability up to activate it, but was waiting and then died and didn't get to use it. So like, I think a missed opportunity there. That was one. And then there was another time during a fight where also he was putting stacks on, got really low, got bursted down. I felt like, he learned his lesson and got better, and only 2 deaths. Not too bad. They actually played as a team really, really well. I think the star of the show is Bradley as a support, keeping his team alive as best he can, not dying, which is important, not giving up any aces. And, really, as a team, they focused on objectives, which I think is important. And that's kind of the motivation that we see a lot when people build these Storm Crown junglers, right? Is, all right, you're not going to snowball the jungle necessarily, so come up to lane and let's push and let's win the game of objectives, which is ultimately what Vainglory is about. And I like to see it, and of course, it's something that, I think Not Paralyzed did do well, was, getting up there, helping his team. I love Crystal Vox going into a Finn, because it basically prevents the Finn from going in and tanking damage, because if he does, he's going to distribute that damage across his teammates. So he has to basically stay on the back, which means he can't be very effective as a Finn. You don't really want to force a cord of Crystal Vox into your team, and then everyone gets resonance bounces. That's not good. So, in this case, when you see that Finn come out, going Crystal Vox can actually be a pretty reliable strategy, and we saw Giraffes utilize that. I think definitely effective from Juan Hernandez's point of view.
Juan Hernandez, the one shot. No, he got caught a few times mid game. I wasn't gonna say it was a flawless victory, but overall, it did look like Giraffes were very much in control of that matchup from start to finish, just like what we saw with Liberation, just like what we saw with Energy. Really, it did come down to the best game of the night. A lot of people there in the Twitch were really looking forward to that one. It was the Noble Pro and the Team Nemesis, and that really did go all the distance, and it's really fun to see who can actually, kind of clutch it out at the end into those game 3s.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we're coming near the end of our broadcast. We're going to take a few seconds to just take a quick look at the bracket where we're at today as things start to wrap up. Of course, as you can see, all the matches are accounted for here in the winner's bracket. Nemesis Titan moving on to play the Sillies. That'll be an exciting matchup as Giraffe moves on to play Refates here on that right-hand side. On the left-hand side, though, Liberation X going to be going up against Ardent Esports. That's a matchup that's, Ardent's got their hands full there. NRG going up against Team Synergy VG. So, that third round of the winner's bracket, really exciting. Of course, we'll be picking that back up next Wednesday, as Group B will commence then. But of course, we get started actually here on Tuesday with Group A's round starting back up on their bracket. Obviously, they started yesterday. So there's a lot more matches to be taking place. We've got so many rounds in the loser bracket to still get through that we'll be starting to stream next week as well. So you guys aren't going to want to miss it. It's definitely pretty exciting matches. But I do want to thank our casters tonight, Forecourt and Dalsey. Thanks, guys. You guys did awesome.
I'm sure that Dowsy's looking forward to some sleep by now.
You know what? I've actually made it my mission to put myself on Central Time, instead of British time. I've been staying up to about 5 a.m. Each day, waking up late as well.
It's like what, 4:30 right now?
It's 4:30 right now, so it's getting close to bedtime. But it does mean that when I come into these North American Challenger Series games, I'm bright-eyed, bushy-eyed, ready to get on in for the action. And man, the action is real here in NA.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of great teams, a lot of great competition. This region's really thriving. All right, well, with that, we're going to be closing up for the week. Week one, quite a success, man. All these streams went really well. The streams look great as well. And, of course, you guys, the viewers, coming out and watching, we couldn't be more proud. So, till next week, of course, we'll start back up on Tuesday, right at 5 p.m. Pacific. You're going to want to miss a single moment of the NA action right here on VIS64. See you guys till then. Good night.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.